And now on Who's Views, it's time to join JT, Paul and Third Doctor Ian for the latest headlines.
Russell T. Davies. He just can't help himself. Hello everybody, welcome back to Who's Views. It's your big show. It is Sunday and it's the 5th of July 2026. This is indeed Headlines. As ever, I'm here with Third Doctor Ian and Paul.
Hello there.
Are you two ready for a nice chat this evening?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe not a nice chat, but a chat nonetheless.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear it because have you heard? Yes, RTD's been out about again. And as we all know, he's a very angry man. And that has really come through in a recent appearance he has made at the Attitude Awards. More of that coming up for you in the show. And very shortly, we are going to be talking about how the UK government is threatening YouTube. And not just YouTube, gentlemen, but other social media platforms, as we sort of discovered, chatted about before, but we've got more information about it today. So we're going to be talking about that. It's horrifying what's going on right now. For those of you outside the UK, it's very, very scary times. I don't know how you two are thinking about all this.
Well, I think my statement says it all. I'm moving to Russia. I've got my fur coat ready and I'm off. That's it. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, we need somewhere that's less authoritarian. So
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
China or North Korea.
Well, I was thinking of China because I do suit grey.
There you are. Yeah.
You know, it's very slimming on me. But yeah, that's gonna. As ever, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that has been getting in touch this week. I want to say thank you to Rick Storm, to Kevin Taylor, to Dalek Shalom, to Farsight, to Patrick Hartnell, to Susie, to Mike Litzwet, App TV Sport, Matt Enspiel, El Dano, More Than This, Ego de Cavalhosen, 39, I hope I've said that right, 10 and Act 43, to Delta B, to Stephen Griffiths, I Love Cake, great name, Pop Hawk 6811, to David Phillip, to Nigel Walker, to Michael Webster, to Who Knows 63, to John Henson, to Crimpoline de Bloom, Cody W1, to KND Blue Werewolf, The Truth Is Up There, Julie Dunn, Lance Uppercut, the Lord Harris, and Duncan Evans, and everybody else that got in touch this week. Thank you very, very much. And it's great to see you all coming into the chat as well. We're going to come to you very shortly. But as is happening all too often here on your big show on Sunday nights, with Who's Views, we're going to start with some sad news because we have lost a couple of people from the Doctor Who world this week, and it's getting to be a time where it's happening all the time now, gentlemen, isn't it? I mean, it's
sadly that's life, unfortunately, isn't it? That's the thing. Yeah.
I know, and it just brings back all your own mortality, really, doesn't it? But we're going to start with the sad news that was announced this week that Justin Richards has passed. Now, Justin Richards, actually, a lot of us of a certain age would have met Justin at certain conventions, I am sure. I know I did. I don't know about you guys, but I always found him a very approachable, very, very nice man. A bit shy, but a very, very nice man. But he, of course, was the editor of and writer of an awful lot of Doctor Who books, as well as the fanzines. Did either of you two meet Justin?
I never met him, no, but I've seen him in lots of interviews and things, and he always came across as a very likable guy, and I liked his writing, particularly some of his Big Finish stuff. He wrote Time with the Daleks for Paul McGann, really enjoyed that story, so yeah, a sad loss, and a very young man, sadly, yeah.
We've got a statement here. Oh, sorry, Ian.
No, it's all right. I never met, same as Paul, really. Never met him. Got a lot of this stuff, but that one was quite a shock. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it, when the news came through the other day? Yeah, thank you very much for joining us all in the chat, everybody. We do have the obituary from Justin's family, so I'd like to read that out, if I may. It says Justin Richards, 1961 to 2026. We are deeply sorry to announce that Justin Richards died on the morning of Sunday, the 28th of June, 2026. A mainstay of the professional and fan communities, Justin was one of the Doctor Who's earliest fans and became one of the most prolific chroniclers of the Doctor's adventures in novels, short stories, comics, audiobooks, audio plays, and reference material. From his fanzine days working on In Vision, which a lot of you will remember, Justin went on to write for both the Virgin Books and BBC Books Doctor Who novel ranges. In 2000, he took over as a contributing range consultant for BBC Books, and he shepherded the 8th Doctor, Past Doctor, and new series adventures, as well as non-fiction, continuing in this role until 2017. He also wrote extensively for Big Finish Productions across their Blake Seven, Bernie Simmerfield, and multiple Doctor Who ranges, writing over 40 scripts. Wow. He was also script editor on all 13 seasons of the hugely popular Jago and Lightfoot series. Justin's most enduring contribution to Doctor Who may be the creation of, in 1994, of Irving Braxitel, a character in subsequent novels and audios who was embraced and adored by fans and creators alike. Beyond his Doctor Who work, he was a prolific and lauded children's novelist who wrote more than 24 original books in ranges that included The Invisible Detective, Time Runners, Agent Elfie, The School of Night, Department of Unclassified Artifacts with Jack Higgins, and Chance Stevens. And then they go on to say that he was a nurturing and supportive editor for generations of experienced and new authors, and was a devoted and much-loved husband, father, brother, and son. He spent the last decade of his life living with early onset frontotemporal dementia and passed away peacefully in a nursing home in his beloved Warwickshire. He is greatly missed by his wife Alison, his sons Julian and Chris, his mother, and his brothers. Oh.
That's so sad. He was only 64, wasn't he? That's not age at all, is it, really?
Not at all. Very young these days, isn't it? Very, very young. But as I say, such a lovely guy, and a lot of us would have met him because he did go to the odd appearance convention, whatever you want to call it. I met him on a couple of occasions, and he was just he was a lovely man to talk to, you know, and he would put up with my insane questions about his novels. Absolutely insane.
He was probably used to insane questions, to be fair, mixing with Doctor Who fans. That's a no-brainer, that one, isn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah.
What, you're saying I'm not original?
No. Just asking really different questions. We've all got our own continuity, haven't we? That's the thing. Yeah.
So. We've got a lot of you in the chat. Brilliant Jago and Lightfoot, says Pete Harrington. Legion of James. I love the Jago and Lightfoot series. Yeah, I listened to a couple, but I didn't get into all of them, I must say. Steve Andrews says, I have a signed copy of Time of the Daleks by Justin Richards. Well, nice. Treasure it. And Digby Strawbridge is saying to Mr. Richards, very sad loss. Thank you for your work. Absolutely, because he provides us with some of the most incredible novels. I was looking at them just the other day, just thinking, you know, gosh, an awful lot to catch up on, really. And of course, he kicked off the new adventures, I say, the BBC Ninth Doctor novels with the Clockwise Man, which was, that's the one that kicked off for me, because that's the first one I got through the post. So that's the first one for me, the Clockwise Man. So that was quite an achievement, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, definitely,
yeah.
Thank you for everybody there. Yeah, so goodness me, that was a bit shock, as you said, Ian. That was wow. Very sad loss to the Doctor Who world there. Lots of you in the chat paying your respects, which is lovely. Thank you very much for that. Good to see you all, everybody. Today we have learned of the passing of another Doctor Who name. And this, only this afternoon we've heard of Michael Owen Morris, who's passed. Now, Michael Owen Morris, of course, you'll know as the director of The Awakening back in 83 for 84 broadcast. Now, he seems to have been a main director for years on the EastEnders, gentlemen. So I don't know his work beyond Doctor Who, but when I was trying to find some material, I went, okay, that's all I'm going to say, because it's EastEnders, because he was the director on EastEnders for years.
Yeah.
Bless him. So we've lost Michael Owen Morris as well. And we only reviewed The Awakening a few months ago, didn't we?
Yeah. And I remember being quite a positive review. I quite like it myself, I have to say. Yeah.
It is a good one. Yeah, it's a good
one.
It's
a nice little story, isn't it? Nice and compact.
Yeah, absolutely. It works really well. And for a two-parter, I would have liked to have seen him come back to the show to give him a nice meaty four-parter to see what he could have done. I think we said that in our review, didn't we?
Yeah, because he's from The Awakening. He comes across as a great director. I don't think I've seen any of his EastEnders episodes, but it's a different dynamic, isn't it? Different kind of shooting sort of style, isn't it?
Yeah. There we go. Problem being saying R.I.P. Michael. Absolutely. So Yeah, it's so sad, isn't it, when we lose people, everybody?
Really is.
There was another loss this week, which I wanted to put into the show simply because I loved her. Now, she's absolutely nothing to do with Doctor Who, but she was a British legend. And I am, of course, talking about the sad loss of Dame Penelope Keith this week. And actually, this one really was very upsetting for me as well. Because for those of you outside the UK, you won't know, but Penelope Keith, a generation grew up with this incredible actress, so talented. You know, she could put her hand to anything. She was best known for comedy, and by God, she could deliver a line very subtly. She was a giant in the two of the BBC's most enduring and popular comedies in history. Of course, she played Margot. I have to laugh because it was such a beautiful character. She played Margot in The Good Life, and then Audrey, equally fabulous, Into the Manor Born. Now, gentlemen, these were the days when these two comedies, I mean, were pulling in huge figures. To the Manor Born was getting over 21 million an episode.
Yeah.
That's
Incredible
insane,
stuff.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Insane figures.
Yeah. Yeah. Even back then, I think they were very pleased with them, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. I must admit, I was always a big fan of To the Manor Born. Loved that. And
I love it.
Peter Bulls together. And I've forgotten the actress who plays his mum, who's in an Image of the Fendal. I've forgotten her name, but she's wonderful as well. To the Manor Born. Great cast. Great stuff.
Yeah.
And they lovely. They actually showed it. They showed The Good Life on BBC Two the other night there when she passed away, and they showed I think the episode where she's in the yellow waterproof gear and she slips in the mud. Fantastic stuff. Really good performance. Very
That
funny.
is a classic one. That
Yeah,
one. If you
it
haven't
is.
seen
It
The
is.
Good Life or To the Manor Born, you have to treat yourselves before somebody somewhere tries to get rid of it. It's absolutely, they are British gems. They are very much of their time, but they are wonderful and they are funny. They are great.
Yeah.
And Dame Penelope Keith, she is just stunning. She is just stunning at this. Digby, thank you for your super chat there, saying Margot was my weird crush. She was although she was very snobbish, Margot, there was something very elegant about her, and I could understand the gentleman at the time being quite attracted to Margot because, I mean, Tom next door wasn't he? Let's face it.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that episode there when they all get drunk together and they start flirting with each other's husbands and wives. Like, it's very, very funny. Yeah.
270s for me, that one.
Very 70s, that. Yeah. Let's put the keys in the bowl kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. We've also got a super chat here from the Chorus Sci-Fi Fantasy. Thank you very much. I was devastated to hear of the passing of Justin Richards. It's an injustice. He was never invited to write for New Who. He should have been a showrunner. He would have simply been able to do that. And he should have been, I agree with you, Chorus Sci-Fi. He would have delivered an amazing script. He really would have done. It would have been fantastic. Let's get into the chat. YW2324 is saying, oh, RIP. Legion of James saying, yeah, Penelope Keith, another legend gone, but never forgotten. Never, ever. I mean, she did the two biggest BBC comedy dramas in history. I think they were even outrank Only Fools and Horses, personally. I think that's the third one. You know, I really do. And then she did a lot of radio, of course. And in her latter years, she did a lot of theatre. She went back to theatre where she was a huge hit with audiences. But then on top of that, I'd rediscovered her a couple of years ago, gentlemen, when she was doing this gorgeous little show where she was traveling around British villages. I don't know if either of you saw that.
I've not seen that, no.
It's wonderful. It was one of these little Channel 5 things, and I found it by accident. And it was one afternoon where they were showing, it was a couple of years ago, and they were showing 2 episodes back to back on one of the Channel 5 things, I think it was. And I ended up watching the entire series after that because it was just so refreshing and so light. And just her going around and going into places and chatting with people. She was a very good presenter as well.
Channel 5 are very good at doing that kind of thing. I remember really enjoying the Timothy West and Pernell Scales barge journeys. They were lovely. Was that Channel 4? I can remember. But that kind of idea is very, very nice. That kind of gentle kind of entertainment. It's really nice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Digital Pollution saying she was an amazing woman. She bloody was. Imagine Margot in the TARDIS, says Funky. Poor Tom would never have survived. No, he wouldn't have had a chance, the Fourth Doctor. None of them. Margot would be like, oh, dusting and everything, wouldn't she? She'd keep him
Well,
in
she'd
line.
get a cleaner in, wouldn't she? Let's be honest. That's the thing.
She would
So,
probably, yeah,
yeah.
she would. Yes, R.I.P. Penelope Keith. What a legend. We will miss her, says Richard Brooks. And Sheila B in the devotions. Good to see you. There was a lot more to Dame Penelope than The Good Life. Absolutely, there was. As I say, Sheila B, she was a massive hit with the audiences in theatre over the last decade or more. Huge hit. People were just, she'd get standing ovations and stuff like this. Terry Leptel, it's good to see you. Thank you very much, Jerry. And thank you very much, Margot and Penelope. Yeah.
I know she was never in Doctor Who, but I could have imagined her quite easily as with that very cultured, plum in the mouth kind of cut glass accent that she had and everything else, but the way she could deliver it completely deadpan. I could imagine her as one of the senior Time Lords, like a Thalia, perhaps. Or
I was just thinking that, Ian. Yeah.
Certainly the Inquisitor in Trial of a Time Lord. She would have brought an absolutely different. Nothing against Linda Bellingham, but I think she could have really brought something to that.
Yeah.
Well, she should get an only mention for Doctor Who because obviously Richard Braz is in The Good Life, and so is Felicity Kendall. Felicity Kendall is in New Who, and Richard Braz is in Old Who. So that's quite a nice connection there too. Yeah.
When we lose a legend, a British legend like Penelope Keith, it would be very amiss if we didn't mention it. And as I say, I loved her. I mean, a little boy, I adored her, and I was there watching The Good Life. But then more when the Tamana Born came along, because I must have been about 10 when that arrived, and just loved it. I think it was on Sunday night or something, wasn't it? And every week I was there watching it. So funny. Lots of you in the chat with your respects for the people that we've lost this week, which is lovely. Thank you, everybody. Did
you get Mark Greaves' super chat, JT, just before we go?
I'm probably coming to it now because I'm scrolling down everything, just going through them all. I'll keep an eye on that. Let's go through them. Yeah, Richard Brooks saying To the Manor Born was great. Problem being our childhoods are slowly ebbing away. Cool and dry. Mrs. Keith was a big part of my teenage TV watching RIP. She is a British legend. Acting royalty. And when they gave her damehood, she was so down to earth about it. She really was, and she bloody well deserved it. It was late, in my opinion, but I'm so glad she got it. Dystopian Nightmare. Penelope Keith was also great when she guested on Morecambe and Wise.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yeah. The bit they come down the stairs and run out of stairs. Yeah, and then she's got the shoe and Eric's hat and all that kind of stuff. Brilliant. Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
choreographed so beautifully, because that stuff is really, 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 really is really difficult to do, because they had to get down a huge drop. When you look at it, it's huge. No health and safety. Cool and Dry saying Hidden Village is a gem. It is, isn't it? Lots of you in the chat with us talking about this, so thank you very much. I'm going to try and find that super chat from Mark Greaves. There it is. Mark Greaves, thank you for this. Hi, JT. As I've said it before, I still believe that with the brilliant people we have in this community, people who pass on are never forgotten. Yeah, that's lovely, Mark. Thank you for that. And you're absolutely right. And the thing is as well, we won't forget people that have been in Doctor Who, and we're certainly never going to forget the likes of Penelope Keith at all. And in fact, I'm just going to just show that picture of her again, because doesn't she look lovely? This was from one of her later series or something that she did there.
I was never into To the Manor Born. I don't know whether it was just time of the week or anything else like that, but I adored The Good Life. I thought it was so funny. And you said, JT, it was of its time. But in some respects, it was ahead of its time, because it was all about self-sufficiency and generating your own power and all this kind of thing.
That's right.
And, it's very on the button these days, isn't it? But it was a wonderful, wonderful series. So funny. They got the cast just right.
They absolutely did.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but the last episode is quite sad. But I'll leave it at that. But yeah.
I was gutted at that last episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely gutted. I believe I heard this week, and I don't know if this is right, they did a reunion type episode years later, which I've never seen if they did. So I've
not seen a Good Life one. There was definitely a To Manor Born one they did.
Oh, is it the To Manor Born?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that.
They got Peter Bowles back, I think, and Angela, I forgot her name, who's her friend, I forgot her name. And the lady who played the mother, she had passed away by that point, so it was just the three characters, I think.
Of course,
yeah. So
Chef Brackett saying to us, she's in a really good episode of Two's Company with Donald Sinden and Elaine Stritch. I used to love that as well. Two's Company back in the day. Wow. Yeah, love it. I'll look out for that, because that's being repeated, if I can remember which channel it's on. So many these days. Yeah. And Julianne saying to us, now don't swear, Jerry, and don't bleed in the sink. I've just cleaned it. John Keeley, it's good to see you. Good evening, gentlemen. I hope you're all well. Seriously, WTF, the government is going to impose BBC pilot bans on YouTube. Yeah, we're going to come to that in a second, John Keeley. So thank you so much for that, mate. Thank you very much. Before we get onto that, though, again, just to all the families of Justin Richards, to Michael Owen Morris, and to Dame Penelope Keith, to their families and to their friends, what can we say? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to them for all the beautiful work that they've done one way or the other for us. They are much appreciated, and God bless them.
Yeah, God bless them all. Yeah.
Okay, right. Before we move on, I just want to say thank you to everybody that got in touch with our about our review in the week of The Psychic Circus.
Are we apologising for that one, would you?
Now, this was our second review of a Big Finish audio. And I admitted on the show that I got it wrong. I wanted a story as part of our Master of the Universe season that had the Master, James Dreyfus as the Master, and it sounded good on paper. You'll have to go and see what we make of it, actually, on the show. But it was good to know. Thank you for your comments of support. I was a bit worried. Oh, they won't want us to do another Big Finish now, but no, apparently you do. So we've got another one coming. We've got a few more coming up for you this side of Christmas. But James Dreyfus was in that particular story as well. And this week he announced that he's going on tour with his brand new play. And look who else is in it, everybody. It's Tracy Ann Oberman.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are touring England with Noel Coward's Present Laughter, which I'm not 100% familiar with.
No, neither am I. I've read a lot of Noel Coward plays, but I'm aware of it, but I can't tell you what the plot is. I cannot remember. But Noel Coward's got a bit of repetition in some of his work, to be fair. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is good stuff here. So this is James Dreyfus joining forces with Tracy Ann Oberman, who you will know, of course, from the series 2 of the reboot Doctor Who, Doomsday and Army of Ghosts. Oh, that's probably the wrong way around, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She was in that. Didn't she get turned into a Cyberman? I don't know, but we're going to be finding out because, of course, that's coming up as a review in our Cyberman at 60 series very soon.
Oh.
Anyway, so that's good. If you want details on where James and Tracy Ann are going to, you can get it on the internet, of course. But they're going on an English tour.
They're going to York. I know that much.
Yeah, they are. There you go. So if you want to go and see them, go and have fun. 2 Doctor Who people there for you to get something signed. Get something signed there. That's what we care about, isn't it?
I hope Jimmy's okay about getting a Big Finish signed. Just be careful; that'll be a little difficult. Yeah.
It might be all right.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Ask him first.
Yeah.
What we got here? We've got this.
George IV's poster.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Print out George IV's poster and get that signed. That'll be quality.
Yeah. Give him our thumbnail. She was back in EastEnders not long ago, so Frankie Stanage. Lovely. Thank you for that. And Digby Strawbridge saying, love Tracy Ann Oberman. She was great in New Who and great as Mrs. Purchase. Is that EastEnders character?
That's in Toast.
Oh, right.
Toast of London.
Yeah, right.
And she was in Friday Night Dinner as well. Brilliant in both.
Never seen it, but thank you for that. She's done a hell of a lot, though. She crops up in all sorts of things I've noticed now, Tracy.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching the old stuff now, fantastic. Pete Harrington saying, Tracy Ann, one scene, I think it's in Big Train. She's a mermaid in a paddling pool in the living room. It just makes me giggle. I'm not surprised. I'm sure she had fun doing that one as well. Honestly. Yeah, as I say, she crops up in all sorts of things now, none of which I've ever seen before. But there you go. Huge thank you to Kirsty, to Problem Being, and the Legion of James, who are all in the chat, making sure everybody is all right this evening. So thank you guys. How are you? Hope you are well. Okay, so yes, so that was their tour. I just thought I'd mention that because it tied in nicely with a plug for our Psychic Circus review, which we did on Wednesday.
Beautifully done, I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've got more lovely, seamless segments, segues coming up like that very
I'm
shortly.
sure you have, yes. I look forward to that, yeah.
Let's get on now to talking about, the one and the brilliant Film is Fabulous, shall we?
Yeah.
Because they've announced some I thought was very exciting news this week. I couldn't quite get over this. But I think it's exciting. A few weeks ago now, we were talking about the fact that they had recovered a spooky set of episodes, haven't we, Paul?
Yes, yeah.
He says, trying to get the information up. I'm running here on the phone. Why is nothing working for me? I hate technology. Can I just tell you? Honestly, I cannot stand. I had it all sorted. I hate technology. Here we go. Right. So this is No Such Thing as a Vampire. Okay.
With Andrew Keir. Yeah.
Andrew Keir. Now,
Yeah.
the other day, Film is Fabulous put onto their Facebook page. The Film is Fabulous team appreciate the enormous interest that missing and rare episodes of vintage television generate. A case in point is the response to the announcement of the recently recovered episode of late night horror entitled No Such Thing as a Vampire. Discovered as a black and white 16mm film recording by collector Darren Payne, this controversial production was the first BBC television drama to be shot in colour. Prior to showcasing the episode of No Such Thing as a Vampire, colour had first been made available to BBC viewers almost exactly 1 year earlier, on Thursday, the 20th of April, 1967, when an edition of BBC Two's arts and culture show Late Night Lineup became the UK's first production to be broadcast in glorious 625-line colour. Bless. It says here, in 1967, the BBC did not have a policy for regularly archiving programmes like Late Night Look. Yeah, we know that, don't we, from as Doctor Who.
Surprise us, yes.
Yeah. However, to acknowledge the significance of this groundbreaking broadcast, some 20 years on from the earliest experiments in colour television, the BBC dutifully preserved this historic programme for future generations to enjoy. The country's first ever colour broadcast was duly archived in black and white.
That's just typical BBC, I have to say. I'm really sorry. Yeah, but it really is. Yeah.
And you can't make this stuff up, can you?
You can't.
The BBC. Yeah. In 2026, following the return of No Such Thing as a Vampire to the BBC archives, Film is Fabulous engaged Richard Russell and Charles Norton to use the colour recovery process on this long-lost production. The colour recovery process is quite different to traditional colorization techniques, as no new colour is applied to the picture. Rather than adding colour to something that was never in colour, the process is designed to return programmes to the format in which they were originally shot. This is very clever stuff. Goes above my head.
Yeah.
The colours recovered are the original hues that audiences saw on the broadcast, and those the programme makers intended to be seen. This colour recovered version of No Such Thing as a Vampire will now be screened for the first time since the 1968 broadcast at the Regent in Christchurch in Dorset on the 20th of September 2026 as part of the 3-day Grindfest event. Film is Fabulous is also collaborating with BBC Archives to return the newly coloured recovered version. Now, this was something I was very excited when we talked about this, because this looked good, because there's that little clip on the Film is Fabulous YouTube page.
Yeah.
And I was just getting into it and it ended. And I was really annoyed. But
the colour recovery thing is superb. I mean, it obviously did it with Mind of Evil and Invasion of Dinosaurs Part 1. And it's really clever. It's like witchcraft. It's so good. It really is. It's incredible. So good. Well done to them for doing that. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the chroma dots?
That's right. Yeah. The colour recovery thing. Yeah.
Well, if you haven't seen them, Film is Fabulous did share some pictures.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Look at that. Isn't this is really good. Really good.
That is a picture of someone's neck, isn't it?
It is. It's somebody's neck with the blood gushing out. Look at this. Very, very colourful, as they were in the early days of coloured television. They threw every sort of colour they possibly could do into it, didn't they? Really, look at that green.
It's like the Wizard of Oz, isn't it? It's got that very vibrant colour, isn't it? Kind of thing. Yeah.
The chairs and everything. This is proper old school BBC telly. I really, really need to see this. And I'm looking forward to the BBC announcing that they're going to show it on BBC 4 or something like that, so we can all have a look. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
I'm surprised it's not on the iPlayer as well, like Morecambe and Wise was in Doctor Who, but I suppose it's maybe not as high profile as those two shows, but maybe that's why.
Oh, gosh, yeah. In the chat, YW2324, it looks spooky. I've never heard of this. It's cool. Stephen O'Neill, BBC 4 will probably show it at Halloween or Christmas time. Oh, I hope so. We'll if we all find out, let's let each other know. Peter Harrington is saying Grindfest,
yeah.
And Funky, it would be a good thing to show at Halloween. You're absolutely right, mate. I'd love it. I'd be there, I tell you. Hello to Stuart Green. How are you, mate? Hello there. Is it just me or are other Who viewers getting ads on this live feed tonight? I've had a few pop up and interrupt your flow. Never happened on a live feed before. Well, I've got to earn a living. I've no idea. They probably are. It's YouTube.
Are we going to have to go and I might go, well, here's a word from our sponsor, like that? We'll do that.
Do you know, if we could plan that and I could do it, I would do it. I really
would.
Look at this. Nothing to do with us. So I don't know anything about it, but it probably is. They're probably going to get that. Sorry, just click on the, whatever it is, thing on the thing. What's it called? Next or skip or whatever it's called.
Yeah, sometimes you have to wait for it to go through like 5-10 seconds, which is really irritating. A friend of mine's got YouTube and he's actually paid to have the adverts removed. I'm too tight to do that, so I don't do that. But
yeah, so am I. Yeah. Chef Brackett saying this sounds excellent. I love those old horror anthologies. This does sound, and if I tell you what, if they do put it on BBC 4 or wherever, let's do a review of it.
Okay,
that would be good, wouldn't it? And let's appreciate this beautiful piece of British telly coming home. And well done again to Film is Fabulous. Adapted from a short story by Richard Matheson, says Jess Corbin. The Gothic short follows a Doctor Who, right, okay. A Doctor Who vows to protect his mysteriously ill wife, played by Andrew Keir and Meg Wynne Owen. There you go. Thank you for that. Yeah. And by goodness, it looks fantastic. So again, huge well done to our friends over at Film is Fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done a great job so far. If this is the tip of the iceberg, fantastic stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah. No, good for them. Oh, fantastic, says Stephen Braddock. Dystopian Nightmare, saying just you were talking about the ads, you went into an ad. Oh well, I wish I'd known about that. And because I'd do a lovely link. And the Chorus Sci-Fi Fantasy, I'd have a jingle. I remember getting a rock for Lal Awards in Vampire. So we don't really need to know things like that. Chorus Sci-Fi Fantasy. Thank you very much. We're British. No, we don't do things like that. Thank you very much, Dean. No such thing as a vampire directed by Paddy Russell, as well as the other existing episode, The Corpse Can't Play. Correct. Yeah, Paddy Russell. So keep an eye out, by the way, obviously, to Film is Fabulous on their Facebook page, everything like that. Their website, and of course their YouTube page. If you haven't subscribed to that already, please do. Stephen Avery's with us as well. Hello to you. Nice to see you. Gosh, that was all good stuff. Anyway, I got excited about that. I thought this is going to be great. Let's just hope we get to see it. Come on, BBC. We'd like to see that as well, please. That would be lovely.
All that they're doing is very exciting.
Yeah.
Film is Fabulous. It is. Absolutely is. All right, then. So talking about YouTube, let's get onto YouTube because we've got some news coming up about YouTube now. Now, believe it or not, for those people outside the United Kingdom, and you won't believe this, but it's absolutely true. I would argue that we currently are in the grips of a dictatorial government here in the United Kingdom. They really, really, really do not like free speech. They do not like anything that they deem to be harmful towards themselves.
Yeah.
They are currently, Lisa Nandy, of all people, announced this week that in one of these big sorts of things that all these showbiz nonsense did a couple of years ago, I'm leaving X because it's full of this and that and this and that. Well, just go. Don't announce it. Just go. But she's also pulled out the department that she's in charge of the government department. They're not going to be using X anymore. Now, I can't stand anything like that because you suddenly cut off millions of people that generally don't care. They don't care about who owns X. They don't care about the politics of who does this. They don't care about that. And as I said last week, from my point of view, ever since Musk took on X, I haven't been banned once from it. Whereas previously, whenever I said a trans woman is a man, or words along those lines, I would be barred immediately and punished for several days, Yeah. So these people are absolutely ridiculous. But this is what's now happening with our UK government. They are really pushing down on stuff. We have a massive problem with DEI in our country. We have a massive problem with the unconscious bias training in our services. And I'm going to say, especially the police. Have you seen what's going on with our police force? It's frightening. It's incredible. We might as well all just sit in our houses, which is coming. It's coming. That's what they want us to do. They don't want us doing anything like this. But who will pay the benefit bill if that happens? This is unbelievable. What's also unbelievable about the British government is they are now, as we've mentioned before, looking to pass a bill in which they select which news sources we get to look at. So basically, they will decide what is a trustworthy news source. Guess who's at the top of the list?
The BBC?
I think you might be right, Paul.
Well, they're going to be unbiased, aren't they? Let's be honest. Yeah.
The BBC and trustworthy would never be in a sentence that I would write.
No.
Because they're just not. Now, there's lots of stories going on at the moment. I don't watch the BBC. I cannot stand the BBC. Don't like them, and I won't watch them. You will have to tell me in the chat, for those of you who still watch BBC News, are they showing all the real stories going on about certain reports that have been published over the last couple of weeks? Are they reporting on that? Are they reporting on all the allegations with police? He says, watching his words, that you can get on platforms such as YouTube and X quite freely and look at. This is terrifying for content producers in the UK, including ourselves here in United Kingdom, because it will affect everybody. This has come out from YouTube over the last few days. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is I read this and I had to read it again, guys, because it was just frightening. This is where we're at. It's the 21st century. It's 2026. And we have a government in place that thinks it can tell us how to act and think. This says here, the UK government is running a public consultation called Watch This Space, a new strategic direction for UK media. The proposals include mandatory changes to how content is discovered on YouTube. This could direct audiences away from your channel. As a UK creator, this directly impacts your future. Digital content discovery works best when driven by user choice, not legal requirements. This is a vital window for you to share your perspective before the consultation closes on the 31st of August 2026. Impact on the proposed rules. The proposed new rules include a mandatory prominence regime. I mean, waffle, everybody. What the hell is a prominence regime? This could require digital platforms like YouTube to prioritize and give a privileged position to traditional broadcasters like the BBC, ITV, and Channel 4 in user interfaces and recommendation feeds, potentially pushing your content out of sight. Mandating prominence to traditional institutions will impact all other independent digital creators, production companies, and media, including through your content being downranked. Pushing this group forward means pushing everyone else downward. Mandatory prioritization of broadcasters would affect how your content reaches your audience, regardless of what your audience actually wants to see. Reducing user exposure to diverse content and independent creators. Mandating prominence for established media networks would push the UK's diverse mix of independent journalists, educators, and digital-first businesses down the line. Threat to reach and channel growth. Your ability to organically grow your community, generate views and revenue, and build a sustainable business is compromised if your content is hard to be discovered. Undermining the creator-audience bond. The consultation repeatedly emphasizes trust in the context of legacy broadcasters, implying that digital-first voices are less credible. God, this is a nightmare. Damaging the foundational trust that sustains the creator economy. How did we get here?
It's madness, isn't it? I'm surprised it's not happened sooner, to be fair, but we saw this kind of coming, didn't we, really, with all the stuff about stopping access to kids being on YouTube, and that was the first step, wasn't it? And that should be allowed for parents to make that decision. In fact, for us, we should make the decision what we want to watch, not what we're told to watch. That should be the thing. It's meant to be a democracy. So much for that. Yeah.
The problem, I think, and I'm terrified about it, is we are no longer a democracy. And every single day, thanks to the likes of X, thanks to the likes of YouTube, thanks to the likes of these things that people don't like, GB News, talk radio, talk TV, the alternatives who are now doing, and it's strange, isn't it, when you get the likes of GB News and Talk getting more viewers during certain times of the day than the BBC and ITN, that says to me an awful lot, as the British public have started to wake up. But here we have the government, the UK government. And I'm saying to YouTube now, please, you are a massive American business. Tell the UK government where to go. Put your foot down and tell them to bugger off. Honestly, this is dangerous for us in the UK.
The trouble is, I'm sure in an ideal world, it'd be great if YouTube could do that, but I don't think they probably can. If the government shut it off, they'll just shut it off. Simple as that, and that's the problem, isn't it?
I think they could probably. They could do a couple of things. They could appeal to the American government, so Trump and the rest, to basically instruct the UK government to wind its neck in and back off, because it's an American company that they're impacting in. And let's face it won't just be YouTube. But they could also, if you've got some really big creators that do make a decent amount of money and they see that income dropping, they could then sue the government, because it's not open and fair competition, is it?
No.
It's I mean, the BBC in itself has zero credibility when it comes to reliable, honest, trustworthy news.
Exactly.
They're in a $10 billion lawsuit with the President of the United States because they blatantly edited a video to make it look like he said something that he didn't. They are not trustworthy at all. And yet here we are with a proposal to force feed us the priority of BBC, ITV and Channel 4, and they're all as bad as each other.
They're also being taken to court by the delivery firm now for for a couple of million because of something that they said in the same show, not the same series. I think it was Panorama allegedly, and they said something else about them. So they're taking them to court as well. I mean, the problem with the BBC is full of far left alleged activists, and they are dictators. This is the problem with it, and it's coming through. You can see it in their programming now. You know, I think it's frightening. Julianne saying to us, only watch GB News.
They hate not being able to control the narrative. They hate it. They're scared by it. They hate X. If it wasn't for X, for example, this week, people wouldn't know what happened to that lad in Birmingham that the police assaulted.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got to be careful with that because it's an ongoing case.
Yeah, but you just have to look now. But it was brought to prominence by X. It wasn't brought to prominence by the BBC News or anything else. It was X. And if the government had been able to ban X, then people wouldn't know.
Nobody would have known.
And that's one of the reasons why they want to do it. And it's insidious and it's wrong, and it would make North Korea blush. Absolutely, it would.
Yeah.
This is the other
and
thing.
It's happened
here.
so quickly.
Kirsty and Problem Being are putting in the chat for you a link to the survey we mentioned from the government, from the UK government. It takes minutes to fill in. It's disgraceful because it doesn't really give you the options. Now, I'll give you a tip if you're going to do this, and if you're in the UK especially, you should do this. There's a box when you go onto the first page which asks you what you think. You tell them what you think. Don't wait for the questionnaire. You tell them there because you don't get another chance. So that box at the beginning of the questionnaire, you tell them what you think of them. You tell them what you think of this apparent idea and what they want to do. And you put it in there. Because in my opinion, British people have really got to start shouting these things out because it's happening to us every single day. And Matt Enspiel is saying to us here, surely if we watch BBC News on YouTube, we'd need a license. Now, I've been saying this week as well, Matt. That's another way, I think, of the government saying, right, you've got to have a TV license for all this now. Because none of them have come up with the simple idea of forcing the BBC to take advertising rather than the license. because the BBC is snobbish and says, oh, no, we don't want to do that. And every single thing that the BBC has put in front of them as a solution to getting rid of the license fee, they dismiss because they are determined to keep it. So I think they will, Matt, be looking at ways of how can we work with this government to say we need to get people who don't pay the license forced to pay the license. How the hell did the United Kingdom get into this state? I am absolutely ashamed of my beautiful country and where we're at now. It's disgraceful. Yeah, so as I say, Kirsty and Brumby are putting the links in there for you. If you want to do it, I would recommend you do. Tell the government exactly what you think of them. It seems that YouTube is also guilty of some censorship too, says Dave Harding. Okay, I'm not sure about, I don't know about that one, so I can't comment. I didn't look at that.
Well, allegedly they're quite good at tinkering with things, aren't they? Allegedly, but hopefully,
well, we know that,
the opposition might have more of a sensible thing about it when they vote for it in Parliament. Maybe some of the MPs will see sense, hopefully, because it's a restriction of civil liberties, isn't it? Let's be honest. So
I do think. I mean, come the next election, whenever it's going to be, and hopefully it's going to be sooner than 3 years, because Burnham does not have a mandate, and he's been saying for years when a Prime Minister gets replaced, there should be a general election. Well, now's his time to put his money where his mouth is. But
yeah,
he's moving number 10 up to your neck of the woods, isn't he? I heard. Yeah. So.
It's Manchester, wrong side of the Pennines.
It was close. It was close. Yeah.
That's the only north he thinks about. But whoever, whether it's Reform or whether it's the Conservatives or a coalition of whatever, they need to say right now, if Labour do this, as soon as we're in, we're reversing it. They need to say that straight away, because then you might see that certain companies don't get on board with it and get a little bit more, because they're not going to want to go one way and then go another. But it's interesting, isn't it, that YouTube is owned by Google and the previous Google head is now head of the BBC.
Yes. Matt Britton. It is interesting, isn't it? And it was also interesting how the BBC managed to get 50 YouTube channels for all its output there. You know, I mean,
is that like hush money allegedly? Is it? I think, yeah.
Paul, it is like living in an episode of the X-Files. There is conspiracy after conspiracy after conspiracy, and I don't know. I can look back now. This all started in '97 for me. This is when everything started, when, myself including this, we voted for the Labour Party, we got them in, Blair got in, and from that moment on, he brought in a load of legislation that the idiot Tories didn't bother to repeal. Then they brought in some stuff which has been able to be expanded. This is terrible. This is absolutely awful. And honestly, God, if you are outside the United Kingdom, please believe me when I say our country is a mess. Yes, there's some wonderful things about it still. But I'm genuinely quite worried for the state of the United Kingdom right now, because I think we're going down the toilet rapidly. And I think it's because of these idiots we've got in power. And this idiot that we're just getting rid of now, this alleged Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, I can't wait to see the back of him, because I've never liked him. But the one that's coming in is worse.
What is interesting, though, I think when the previous Tory leader left, didn't Andy Burnham say they should call a general election?
Yes, he did. Like Ian was saying there. And the tweets are there. This is the thing, isn't it? I mean, the tweets are there from Burnham to say, after the Tories mess and continual mess of swapping prime ministers just like they do Doctor Who's every
various lettuces in power. That was it.
So he was going general election, and now it's the same situation for Labour. And of course, they're denying all of it. I watched the Labour MPs, the representatives that do go on to the news shows. And listen, for those people that watch this show and wouldn't even dream of watching something like GB News or Talk, you have to go and look at the proper news, because that's the stuff you're not going to get on the BBC. There's some real hard-hitting stuff which opens your eyes to be able to say, that's going on in Britain. This is happening right now. This person's being taken to court for this. This young lad has just been the victim of alleged assault from an alleged trusted force. Come on, wake up. Don't rely on the BBC ITN for your news. You have to go to the alternatives now, because this is what we're talking about. They're censoring what they want you to know. And the BBC is complicit with that. Has been for years. It's,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, these are the alternative channels now, which are hugely popular in our country, guys, have woken me up and opened my eyes.
It's incredible the variety of different news from BBC to GB News and Sky and all that kind of stuff. When I flick the channels, you think, my God, what? You would think they'd be all reporting similar things, but they're not, and that's the thing. And then GB News and Sky are doing more, showing more actual honest stories as opposed to the BBC's made up stuff, allegedly. So.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, for those people that say that, I think there's a lot of people that are frightened of watching these because they'll be called far right. Get over it. That allegation now means nothing. Means nothing. You know, it means absolutely nothing. And they're not. The amount of times I feel like throwing something at the television because of some ridiculous far lefty on GB News talking absolute crap. I just feel if I had the GB News number, I'd be on to them every 20 minutes saying, "Can you put me on the show, please? Can you put me on the show, please?" But I'd have some of these melts. I tell you, I'd have them.
Haven't you been on the show before?
Yes, but that was a long time ago.
Okay, well,
yeah, I was on Patrick Christie's once upon a time when he was talking about Doctor Who, and I said, no, he's not getting his facts right here. So I phoned up and said, he's not getting his facts right here. Oh, well, come on. Okay, so I was on and I put them right, and I was worse than he was.
I would love to see that. I must have to find it somewhere. Yeah.
Oh no, it was so funny because it was all this thing about, is Doctor Who too woke, and then they let me on. I was worse than Patrick Christie's about it. I really had the show. I was saying, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding?" Of course it is. Oh, that was funny. That was very funny. Lots of you in the chat talking about this. Yeah, Chef Brackett, you're right with that quote there. Dave Harding saying to us, "How is the UK not a democracy? Do you not get to vote in elections anymore?" Well, they did try to cancel the elections recently on our local elections, so even that's in doubt. That was the government, Dave, saying to the public of Britain, "Oh, we've got elections coming up," and they knew they were going to lose, which they did massively, and they tried to cancel those local elections, and the British public said no, no, no. The alternative media also said no, that's not democratic. And they had to do one of Keir Starmer's now infamous, he'll go down in history with infamous U-turns. And they did put them on, and they did lose massively. And that's why he's now out the door. They used that as the excuse to get rid of them. And then they all backstabbed him after saying, "Oh, he's brilliant, he's wonderful." Yeah. These career politicians do my head in.
It's interesting, though, what David says there. But yes, we are allegedly a democracy, just like allegedly we have a police force, but I don't believe that either. And we elect MPs, members of parliament, at a general election, and the one with the most MPs and what's called a majority forms the government. But you've got to look now. We've got a situation where Andy Burnham was not an MP at the last general election. He's been there
until last week.
So he wasn't an MP at the last general election. He's a friend of his stood down so he could basically win his seat to become an MP, and now he's going to be Prime Minister. So somebody who wasn't even an MP at the last general election is now going to be the Prime Minister. Nobody voted him to be Prime Minister. Nobody at all. And
I think it's called fast tracking, I think, Ian.
Yeah. So basically, no. If a general election isn't called between now and the end of September, not necessarily have it by September, but unless it's called by then, no, we're not a democracy.
Have you seen how he's getting around it, though? Because yes, he doesn't have that mandate, and he knows it. But he's saying he's going to stick to the manifesto that was put out for the last election.
They couldn't stick to the manifesto when Keir got in, for God's sake. What are they talking about?
But no, Paul, my argument to that is they haven't stuck to the manifesto anyway, because they brought in a whole lot of stuff, including this, that was never in the manifesto. Because I am sure that if their real intentions when it comes to the illegal immigrations, to the censorship of news, to the censorship of what we can see, to the censorship of young people, taking a lot of our values away, our rights away, in a sense, when it comes to all this, dictating to us what we must see. You must see the BBC first. That's what we trust. And then secondly, we trust ITN. You must see that first. You can't get to see GB News because the Labour Party, as we know, hates GB News. You can't get to see Talk because the Labour Party doesn't really like Talk either. But you can't use X because that's showing too much of what we don't want you to see. And then all that myth, all that lie, oh, X is this and it's that, it's this and that, and that's been put around by the far left. It's been put around by people in the BBC. It's been put around by people in government, allegedly. That's my theory. You know,
they've never got in.
Stop it somehow.
Yeah. If that was in the original manifesto, they never got in. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how he's getting, Burnham is getting around this. I will stay towards that. He won't. And everybody's got to look at this. And as soon as he slips up, if this goes through, this was not in the manifesto, he should be aware that people like me will start to be saying general election, as I already am, general election now. If I was Starmer, it shows how no backbone he's got. But if I was Starmer, if I was being pushed out that way, I would have done the resignation speech, and then just before mincing back off to the black door on 10 Downing Street, I would have turned around and said, "Oh, and by the way, I'm calling a general election," and I would have done the party down, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If I was going down, I'd take the party with me.
Just needs to go to the king and say he wants him to dissolve Parliament, and he will do that. That's Starmer's choice, and to be honest, he should. There should be a law that says if a government does not stick to its manifesto commitments, then there has to be a general election as well, because there would have been another one before now, to be fair. But yeah, he should have just called another general election and that'd have been that. But I agree with what Richard's saying there. 3 years is way too long to wait with an unelected Prime Minister.
Yeah. We've got Mark Rees saying to us, if a new government comes in, will they reverse this totalitarian bias? This is the problem. We've got so many career politicians in now. All they do is look after themselves. Now, I do have it here that the other parties, and I'm talking here mainly of the big two at the moment, which is Conservative and Reform, have said, yes, they will reverse it. That doesn't necessarily mean they will if they got power. I do think they would, though, because this is too much even for them.
Conservatives brought in some digital regulation, though. They're just as bad in some respects. They opened the door to this.
That's what's being manipulated here. That is definitely what's been manipulated here. But the trouble is, they didn't get to, I'm not defending them in any way, but they didn't get to finish that last year, did they? Because that idiot they had in control of them at the time, who thought, oh, so they'll go and do a general election. So these things were left dangling, and the Labour lot have got in and added to them and pushed them out. It's terrible. But this whole thing about YouTube, very concerning, I think. Very, very concerning.
Yeah.
Come onto YouTube and you won't get to see any of the things you usually see if you're in the UK. All you'll get to see is BBC content and ITN content.
So even if you search round for something, you won't be able to find it. So, you know, on YouTube, you get a search bit and you go and search in it. You won't have any of those options at all. So you won't be able to find us, for example, as an example.
No, because we're a small channel, small growing channel. But even the big players,
so if you put in views in the search, it wouldn't come up at all.
I think it would come up.
I'll be
but you could search for us. But what if you don't know us?
Yeah.
The thing is, your own personal algorithm, when you create an account in Google and you sign into YouTube with an account, it will remember your activity, so it logs your history, and it will then start, like all algorithms do, it will start to suggest videos that are more or less related to the themes that you search videos out for. So you would imagine that you would see automatically a Who's Views recommendation because you watch Who's Views, as all sensible people do. But this would overwrite it. So instead of that, you would be seeing recommendations for BBC, ITV, Channel 4. All it'll do is make people hate them more, which is no bad thing in itself. But so you won't automatically get the recommendations you want. You might have to have a tab to the side or something like that, or whatever. There will be ways around it. There's bound to be. It's just the fact that it'll be an embuggerance to do it. Yeah,
it'll be an inconvenience as well, and I just don't like the fact that, again, it's controlling. I do not want a government that feels it has the right to control the public. I think that's wrong, and it was never in the manifesto. It was never this Labour Party. I don't recognise. They'll never get my vote again, ever. Real Super Doctor 3. One of the reasons is because of the TV license. The BBC are always running to the government to get something done because people are cancelling their licenses in mass and not watching live TV. They're just not watching the BBC in whether it's live or recorded or iPlayer or whatever. They're just not watching it. People in the UK are Real Super Doctor 3. we've fallen out of love with the BBC. It's not what it was. It's not trustworthy anymore. There are alternatives, and that's the thing. And also this affects content creators outside the UK, because it means we won't get to see their latest videos as well, because it won't be recommending. All it will recommend to us is anything approved. That's the issue. Charles Water, thank you. Nice to see you. I won't read that out in case, but I'll let you read that, because yes, you're absolutely right, of course. And guess who worked on that case, allegedly? Somebody. The
thing about this enforcement is they really should give you an option to whether you want it or not, rather than just forcing it at you. You know what I mean?
Steve Andrews is saying to us that 2029 is only 3 years away. Look how much damage they've done in the last 2.
Yeah.
In the last 2, look what they've done to our country. Look how many illegal immigrants are coming in daily. If you don't know, it's because you're watching the BBC. It's frightening. Look at all the incidents that we're getting now with alleged trusted people that are supposed to be looking after us and our law and order. If you don't know about it, it's because you're watching the BBC. In 3 years, they could destroy us. They honestly could. The John Keeley saying, I've never trusted the BBC since a previous BBC Director General admitted that the BBC failed in their duty of care of children during the Savile abuse scandal. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Look what they did with the Diana, Princess of Wales.
Yeah.
They set her up. That is now a fact, which they've now admitted. They set her up. That's something we can't forgive. They set that poor woman up onto a road, I would argue, that eventually killed her. Oh. The other Ibrahim, nice to see you. This is frustrating. It really is. I really hope our voices are enough heard to push back in a huge way, because this is not the UK I want to live in. Yeah, I was just saying the other day, and I was joking about moving to somewhere like Japan, because it looks very clean and tidy. And, just think, could I do the flight right now? I don't think so. Somewhere warm. Got friends in Florida. Somewhere warm. I don't know. Anyway. Jess Corbin, thank you very much for your comment there. It's great to see so many of you with us tonight for your big show. It's Sunday night. It is the 5th of July, 2026. That is something we're going to be keeping tabs on. You guys will be keeping tabs on, of course. Will this go through? Will the UK government actually? This is the thing. I've been sitting on the fence for years, but now I'm absolutely convinced the House of Lords needs to stay. All these lefties have for years and years and years. And at time, guys, I'll be honest, I was one of them, wanted the House of Lords abolished. But the House of Lords represents me, British common sense. And there's still just enough of the old school in there to turn around and go, what?
No.
There's still enough Thatcherites in there, for example, and people that work with Neil Kinnock to turn around and go, what do you do? What's this? So let's just hope that they are there to be able to say, no, you're not doing it. I don't know. It's just in my head. There could be hope with the House of Lords.
Needs thinning out a bit, I think. There's about 850,000 of them. But
thanks to blooming prime ministers giving lords and damehoods away and all this sort of stuff. That's got to stop. Yeah, that has to stop. You've got to earn this, I think.
Turning up and falling asleep doesn't really count, does it? Let's be honest. But
no.
Jamie
Knight saying, has Bashir also set up Michael Jackson as well? Yes, I've forgotten about that. Although, I don't think the BBC, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, I don't think the BBC have been held to account for that one just as much as they were for the Princess of Wales.
They never are, let's be honest.
People forget things. We move on in life, don't we? That's
the person who's mentioned the previous comment there, I wouldn't say his name, but that in itself was reprehensible. And so many other figures of the BBC, it's incredible. It really is, Yeah.
I think they tried to set up a certain Tommy Robinson as well, but he got wind of it and secretly recorded them and exposed them, which was quite amusing. But shows they'll do it to anybody that doesn't follow their narrative.
Well, look at poor Cliff Richard, and you saw him at the tennis. Yeah. He's like a shell of the former man he was. It's just quite sad.
Yeah, he's broken, isn't he?
They broke him. I mean, the BBC aged him literally overnight. He was so healthy and happy and doing his thing, doing all his music, and they broke him. They absolutely shattered him. And yes, he took them to court, and yes, he won, but that's beside the point. You know.
Yeah.
Ezra Goldstein, it's good to see you.
Damage is done,
Hartnell's
isn't it?
Ghost, good to see you.
Damage is done,
Hartnell's
isn't it?
Ghost, good to see you. Sorry, Ian?
I was saying the damage is done, isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
all very well he takes them to court and he wins and everything else. But people, it's like when a newspaper has to print a retraction. The accusation is often big, tall letters on the front page,
Small.
and it makes the impact. And then the apology and with retraction is, like Paul says, small print on page
Tiny,
57 or
yeah.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So people
See, that
remember
sort
the
of thing-
accusation.
That sort of thing today is wrong to do that, because you now have, ironically, YouTube. They should be going on and doing a small 5 or 10 minute video on that, explaining what they got wrong and apologizing, and then it's there for good. You know,
Yeah.
not a little piece of print which people aren't going to say. It's not going to happen yet, but they've got to move with the times. They
I
have
used to be
move with the
innocent until proven guilty. It's now the other way around. That's the problem, you know. So
well, exactly, as we've seen this very weekend with the
Yeah.
nonsense that's going on now in Birmingham. Disgraceful stuff. If you don't know about it, it's because you're watching the BBC. You're not on X. Simple as that. Arrest my case, my lord. Goodness me. Yes. So anyway, as I say, we're going to keep an eye on that one when it comes to YouTube and what Nandy's going to do there.
She's still on
Fingers
X,
crossed.
by the way. As
Is
of
she?
today, her account is still active, which I thought if you were going to leave, you closed your account down and you buggered off. She's still sticking around like the worst of the bad smells. And she's that turd that just won't flush. She's still there.
As I say, Kirsty and Problem Being are putting in links to the government's survey, if you can call it that. This could be like the BBC, though. Will they actually look at it and will they action it?
Yeah.
You know, because the BBC never does either.
or someone
but
will
anyway,
cook the books allegedly. That'll be the thing. So yeah.
yeah. But you've got to put that. And as I say, on the first page, that's where it says what you think. You tell them what you think. Tell them what you think, and then do the rest of it. Because all you get is these blob things that you have to highlight with the answers. The answers are staged. You know, it's one of these things which is worded, and you just look at it going, "That's not what I want to put down here." That's not what I want. There were actually there was one point where I didn't put an answer in, and it wouldn't answer. It carried on, but it wouldn't tell me. It wouldn't allow me to say why I hadn't put the answer in. So I'm glad I did my rant at the beginning of the bloody thing, calling them for everything.
Yeah.
Tell you. All right, then. Let's, as I say, we're going to keep an eye on that, but let's get back to Doctor Who. I want to say thank you to Duncan Evans. Duncan, thank you. Duncan, one of our regular Who viewers here, was on the social media platforms this week, as many of us were. I've had a fabulous weekend myself this weekend, but more of that possibly on another show. And the thing about it is, it's about opinions, it's about approaches, it's about points of view, isn't it? It's when, as we all know as Doctor Who fans now, you get the minority of the Doctor Who fans who start to name call. And this has all come about, as you'll all be aware, since that announcement in Wimbledon so many years ago that Jodie Whittaker was going to be the new Doctor Who. And from that moment, I saw the change in fandom, because I was called misogynist, bigot, all this sort of stuff from that moment on. And it's just got worse over the years, as that element of fandom has been empowered by people in the show to be able to name call and think they can get away with it. Well, Duncan was part of this week as well. He sent us the picture. Have a look at this. Duncan has this picture here of a bin with lots of the current issue of Doctor Who magazine in the bin. And then this person called Omar Vance. Omar, you are a disgrace, because he put, "I am so tired of IS claiming to be Doctor Who fans. They obviously never watched an episode or understood it." How many of us have had this over the last God knows how many years?
God, yeah.
I am bored with it. Just because there happens to be a black woman on the cover of Doctor Who magazine with a black man, these idiots call people who don't like it out for being an ist or an ot. Duncan responded, well, we did watch and try to enjoy the last 10 years, supporting as much as we could, but everyone told us to go and touch grass. Funks, well done to you. You were very polite. I wouldn't have been, I have to say, because I am up to here with these idiots name calling. And as I say, they've been empowered by people in the show. RTD, we are going to be talking about him very soon as well. They've been empowered by these people, Paul, to be able to get away with this crap.
I know, it's incredible. I was just going to back up the argument, because as you remember, it was a wee while ago when they brought out the Joe Martin figure with the TARDIS, and there were lots of shots of the figure being put in the bin, and they kept the police box. Remember that? That made
Yes.
me laugh. That was superb. So that's a similar example of the fact that we don't want this. We don't want this at all. So never mind not supporting it. We don't want this. So please, BBC, listen to the fans. We don't want this bogus Doctor. We want real Doctor Who, for goodness sake.
We talked about that last week as well, didn't we, on our show last week, about how the alleged Doctor Who brand ambassador, James Page, has put together, along with this woman who wrote Doctor Who books, who I can't remember and I can't say her name, so I'm not going to bother, the Doctor Who novels that didn't sell because they featured that Nancy Ninny, what incarnation was he supposed to be?
15th, I think. I've lost count.
Gatwa, basically, the mincing Ninny. So they didn't really sell, but they've put together this whole thing about Circuit Breaker, and there was a backlash to it this week. So Funks, I know you're in the chat, so well done. You were very polite there. Zach, hello, Zach Whitton. How are you? I was in WH Smith and saw that the latest Doctor Who magazine was about Circuit Breaker, so I didn't bother buying it. But I last bought it about 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, it's awful what they do now. The way that and we talked about it last week. Jamie Knight is saying, I just want to say, with the right showrun, I think Billy Piper could be the new Joanna Lumley and fab as the Doctor. Jamie, in the corner with your sunshine. Go on now.
Jamie, you're on the naughty step now, I have to say. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Your report card isn't going to look very good.
Yeah. Get yourself a t-shirt while you're there. I've been put in the Who's Views corner. Oh dear. Doctor Who 1963. Whenever I tell these lefties I'm half white, half brown, how am I racist? They run for the hills and don't debate anything because they can't, because at some point they know that truth will out. They just like to name call. They are horrible, horrible people. They really are. And as I say, the people in the show haven't helped because they've pandered to them, because that was the desired new audience, which, as we now know, didn't appear. That's why the show has been cancelled. They don't like me saying it. I'm going to keep saying it.
Has it been cancelled? Just checking. Has it been cancelled? Really?
They're filming the Christmas special, Paul. Obviously, it hasn't been. And they're showing it at the same time as they're showing the 2025 one, which has already been in the can.
A double bill. Can't wait for that. Yeah, fantastic.
People know people who were on set watching it being filmed.
Yes. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yes. Thanks for all your comments in the chat. I'm just looking at them. We talked about the Circuit Breaker last thing. I don't really want to go over it too much because it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. But if you want to know more about Circuit Breaker, you can go back and watch the big show from last Sunday. But the other thing that is about to be launched comes out next month. And it's at this point, before I tell you all about it, and you may want to wait until I actually show you this, but I want to launch this week's poll, because I'm actually saying to you now, are you interested in the current Doctor Who merchandise available? No, none of it. Yes, some of it. Or yes, all of it. The poll is now open. There it is there. Are you interested in the current Doctor Who merchandise available? 1 for no, none of it. 2 for yes, some of it. And 3 is yes, all of it. I'm going to be popping that in. But I want to show you now what's coming out next month. Now, you'll already be aware of this, of course, because this, of course, is going to be the Doctor Who annual for 2027. Now, bearing in mind, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, there's no show.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing? Billy Piper's nowhere near this cover, so she's not the Doctor. Let's say that now. Okay. Yeah.
As ever, they can't help themselves with the illusion of the trans colours. But that's
they're going to start the price at £2 to save time. I think they should.
Well, this is the best. Now, I was about to say, a lot of you have actually seen, like Lex has, and we've seen, that last year's Doctor Who annual is now currently available in various places, WH Smith, where it's called now, and Waterstones for £2. This new one that comes out next month has a recommended retail price of £12.99. That thing. Now, here for you, for your delight, And well, no, it's not really. What I was going to say, it's not here for you now for a laugh. Is some of the details inside this year's Doctor Who annual.
Oh God.
Jesus.
This is, of course, they are focusing on the last piece of nonsense from the Mincing Ninny Gatwa's era. An absolute joy, as you can see here. The Doctor's latest journey has reached its end, and it has been an absolute joy. And this is
Other expressions are available. Yes.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is just. Do you think they get to see the fact that this thing is now £2 in various shops? Do you think they go and look? Because I would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Do you think they would? Yeah. They must be aware. Well, I don't know what happens when they send them all back to the BBC or the warehouse it comes from, and then they have to do like a stock take and realise they're out of pocket. I mean, how does that work? Before it gets pulped.
Do you remember when our annuals, a couple of years ago, we did a show called The Annual Ball where we celebrated the annuals we had as kids. And they were factual, and they were factual. They had some good features in it. They had great comic strips. They had good stories. They didn't talk down to us. That's all these Penguin BBC Studios annuals have done over the last few years, because this article, an absolute joy. Across the universe, people tell stories about an incredible traveler in time and space who arrives in a blue box looking to help. Whenever the Doctor steps out of the TARDIS, monsters are fought, villains are defeated, and even in the darkest moments, hope is never far away. Unless, of course, you watch the last series with Ncuti Gatwa, in which none of that actually happened at all, because it was too busy ticking boxes and putting down DEI narratives. But what this does on this particular page, an absolute joy. The Doctor has had many faces, and this one faced some of the greatest dangers of all. I must have blinked.
Yeah, I was asleep.
Gods who treated reality like a game, and enemies who wanted to shape the universe. He defeated them every time, but even the Doctor knows that no journey can last forever. This adventure was coming to an end. And then it basically recaps the reality kitchen sink and takes great pleasure in doing it. After making sure Belinda and Poppy were both safe, the Doctor said goodbye and returned to the TARDIS, checking that the kitchen sink was still there. Oh no, there's more than one, he said. I've just added that in. He returned to the TARDIS, his body still burning with regeneration energy, and standing in the doorway, gazing out at the stars, he smiled and said that his life had been an absolute joy. Time was up. In a blaze of golden light, the Doctor changed once again, and that's where they ended. There is no mention of the Billy Piper appearance at all. That's where the TV show should have ended as well.
Yeah. It's interesting that his life was very short, but thankfully, mercifully, it was. But that's a very quick, very short life. He's like a butterfly, it's just very short life, incredible. Yeah.
Let's say more of a moth, something grubby.
Probably, yeah.
So it's interesting. Said faced various things, monsters and everything. Didn't include and evil white people.
They didn't mention the drag queen. I'm quite surprised. That's interesting.
Well, more than one story was about bad white people, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of Dot and Bubble, and that first one with Resting Bitch Face, which the name of which I can't remember, but where he was Planet of the Incels and all that bollocks.
Oh yeah. Belinda, was her name Belinda?
Yeah. I think
yes, Belinda. She is featured in this annual. We've got Funky Saints was here. The last decent annual was when Doctor Who magazine was able to do an Eccleston one before the BBC decided they wanted to make it. Wasn't that one done by Panini?
I don't remember.
I think it was.
But you were saying, though, that they're like pamphlets now, which is maybe mercifully good. It's very, very thin. But what it reads like now is like the Doctor Who Adventures. Remember that kind of spin-off they had when New Who started, and it's aimed at like 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds kind of thing.
This is the point,
and that's what it's like. Yeah.
This is the point. Our Doctor Who annuals could be picked up by anybody from any age at all. I remember my dad reading the annuals when he thought I wasn't looking. Do you know what I mean? That sort of stuff.
I'm not really a fan, JT said. Yeah, but he did, yeah.
Yeah. Again, though.
Did your dad call you JT? That's probably very formal, is it?
Yeah. But again, what they're doing here with this annual is they are aiming it at an audience that just doesn't exist. The comic strip is ridiculous, and it's very much like Doctor Who Adventures. They missed it again. You had the opportunity to do 2 versions of the annual. You could have done one for the Doctor Who Adventures crowd, which is the younger ones, and you could have done one for the rest of us that would have paid $11.99, $12.99 a year for the hardback book. Look how well Clayton did with his brilliant book of Doctor Who, which went for 2 years, right? That was for our age group. But what's now happened? The annual is a British tradition. And yes, it's for kids. But Doctor Who has an adult audience. And they are missing the trick. We would buy a decent annual from the BBC. Not right now, because we're back in 1986 territory, where World had to give it up after 86 because there was nothing really, you know.
Yeah.
The license was expired and they didn't go over. You know what
I'm
I mean?
really surprised they're doing this next one. Really, that's really surprising. I thought the last one would have been the last one. To be fair, but
It's a good point, because I think this might be the last one.
yeah.
It's just, let's have a look into some more pages, because I've got more for you, Who viewers, for your delight and entertainment. And yes, I am going to try and keep you up tonight, because look what they've done here. Yes, they've gone and ruined the Rani. The Time Lord scientist with a wish for universal domination. You're all underwhelmed, aren't you?
Isn't that the master? So,
Yeah. For a long time, the Doctor has believed he was the last of the Time Lords, but there was another one hiding in plain sight. When Ruby Sunday's neighbour, Mrs. Flood, bi-generated, blah, 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 she was revealed to be the Rani, a clever but cruel scientist. The Doctor sees his role in the universe as an explorer and protector, but the Rani thinks the whole of creation is just one vast experiment with her in control. So, of course, what they're doing here is they're looking at the same thing, the same episodes, whatever it was called. Was it called Something's End or something? World End? I can't remember. And then the kitchen sink thing. So this whole annual basically is made up of a review of that last episode, those last two episodes. Wish World. Thank you. That's just come back to me. Wish World.
wish it was cancelled. World. That's it. Yeah.
I don't believe it. I really don't. It's also got this.
Is that a comic strip / like? Oh, there's a photo strip. Is it?
It's the Battle of the Bone Beast, the story so far. The Rani has sent Bone Beasts, terrifying creatures from the Underverse, to attack Unit Tower. As London comes under fire, the Doctor resolves to head for the Rani's Bone Palace and confront his old enemy. So what it is basically screenshots from the episode in a comic strip type form to move the story of what they're reporting in the magazine along.
All right.
Is
that help explaining some of the story so you can try and understand some of it? Is it?
Yeah. Basically, it's filling up pages.
Yeah, padding.
And then I was absolutely horrified, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, about this.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Doubling down on this ridiculous element, which upset an awful lot of us for various reasons. The first of the Time Lords, it says, Omega was one of the founders of the Time Lord civilization. He was a pioneering scientist whose discoveries made time travel possible. But his experiments were very dangerous. During one test, there was a catastrophic explosion and Omega was cast into a universe of antimatter beyond normal reality. The Time Lords thought Omega was dead, but he had survived, trapped in the Underverse, which is where RTD comes in, and then turns this beautiful, wonderful creation by Bob Baker and Dave Martin into a CGI piece of crap.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, according to Doctor Who lore, he wasn't the scientist, was he? He was a stellar engineer. It was his job to try and manipulate the star that Rassilon detonated, which generated the Eye of Harmony, on which all their power was based, if you know what you're talking about, which obviously the half-wits or quarter-wits that wrote Doctor Who didn't.
And why is it called the Underverse and not the Antimatter Universe or whatever? Doesn't mean
I don't know. But he changed everything.
It's not rocket science. Let's be honest, is it? You know, if you're a Doctor Who fan, allegedly. Yeah.
It says in the annual, there was a shock in store for the Rani when Omega emerged from captivity. He was no longer a man, but a vast, monstrous creature with the powers of a god that the Rani had no hope of controlling. Her plan came to a sudden end when the ravenous Omega devoured her, leaving the Doctor to deal with the mess she'd created.
It's incredible, isn't it? Because you look at that image of Omega and you look at Stephen Thorne and the Three Doctors, he's got more charisma and more kind of power just in that figure of a humanoid character than that one ever did, you know?
But I mean, the singularity in the world of antimatter caused Omega's body to disintegrate. He was only held together by his will. There was no physical body there. So where the bloody hell has that skeleton bollocks come from?
Yeah.
Well, it says here, Omega has lost all sense of reason and was now purely driven by hunger and rage. He looked unstoppable until the Doctor remembered the Vindicator the Rani had stolen from him. Now a weapon with the power of a billion supernovas. With this awesome power, the Doctor was able to drive Omega back into the Underverse and seal him in forever. But the damage had been done to reality, had a cost, leading to the Doctor's final brave sacrifice to save Poppy. Who on earth is going to spend the money on this? If you are thinking about it, don't. Wait until February or March and buy it for $1.99. Honestly, utter nonsense, isn't it? What? Not?
Yes.
I looked at that thing and just thought, "Wow, what are they doing? What?
It's dross,
They've got no
isn't it?
clue. These people.
Yeah.
They've got no clue. These people in BBC Studios at all." JT, there are ad breaks sometimes coming on, muting the live stream sometimes, says Lex. Thank you for your super chat. Lex, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just the way YouTube runs. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know
not what
about
we
it.
set up, is it?
No, so I don't know anything about it. But
I don't know if you notice when you do get adverts on YouTube, they seem to get longer every time you're on if you don't switch them off, you know. But...
yeah, well, I don't know. Sorry, nothing I can do. I haven't changed any of the settings. Nothing I can do. Philip Shaw, new zombie Omega was a joke, not very threatening when he couldn't get his fat ass out of the door. That's very true. Richard Brooks saying Omega was scientist and engineer. He was trying to secure the power for time travel. He was never reduced to a monster. Hidden history in the holy. A skeleton with a beer belly, and the real Omega is in the antimatter universe.
Yeah, why did it have to be Omega, not someone else? Again, like when we did
That would have
Sutek
meant
before.
originality.
Yeah.
Originality,
Yeah.
Paul. RTD has none of it.
Yeah.
None of it.
I don't understand why they're doubling down on all this stuff. This is what it's coming up to Christmas 2027 when the annuals in the UK are traditionally given out to whomever. Fine, comes out in August. The Reality Kitchen Sink was well over a year ago.
Yeah. What they should have done was like a Doctor Who retrospective of the entire show and give a mixture of it to make it try and grab people in and try and forget last year. That's what they should have done. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They should have done something which celebrated the original Doctor Who, maybe.
Yeah. Or even the entire 60-year run, whatever. Yeah.
I'm going to be very interested to see if it goes next week. Next year, rather, if it goes again next year, and just see what they put into it next year, because they've got no story, they've got no series now. So will they double down on the 15th Doctor? RTD has gone. There is nobody in control of the show really in BBC Studios apart from the alleged brand ambassador. He's just done Circuit Breaker. Will they do a whole annual based on the fugitive Doctor, as she's called?
Yeah, I'm surprised she's not on the cover of this one, to be honest, actually. But Shooty's not on the cover, which is interesting. Yeah.
Feature length pin-up as well, probably. You know.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. We've got here Cool and Dry. Seeing the annual reduced to its current state is sad and a bit painful. We've got Don't Buy the Annual, says Matt Enspiel. Wait to find one in landfill. But as we've seen it this side of, you can get it still now. Last year's for $1.99. It's that bad, honestly. What else we got? PB saying to us that the annual probably got approved before all the falling apart. Yeah, it would have done. It would have done, but still, I don't know. Mordrin Brown Bread, good to see you. The Rani would cringe at being described as someone wanting universal domination. Lex saying to us again, annual for Dalek Master Plan would be better. Now, something like that, though, that's more of a Doctor Who magazine. They could do it. Panini could do that because that would be more of a like they did the articles in that magazine, which I didn't buy, but I looked at and I didn't buy it because it's still shoehorned in all the new series crap.
Yeah.
But
like the Paul McGann special we did, something like that would be good. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. And bearing in mind that those annuals in the wilderness years that Panini produced were very good.
Yeah, they were.
Do you remember them? The yearbooks?
Yeah. The yearbooks, yeah.
Very, very good. There were 4 of them, I think. 3 or 4, I can't remember.
I have one here which has one of my favourite episodes on the cover there.
Oh,
there we are.
We go.
Couldn't resist it, sorry.
Right,
Julianne. back to sanity with Julianne here saying, good God, imagine the crushing disappointment of receiving a Gatwa annual as a gift. I know I'd automatically alienate whoever bought me that. You're no auntie of mine. Graham, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Steve Andrews was saying they did the same with Jodie's last annual. Oh, did they? Oh, like a whole sort of series recap. That must have been thrilling.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Again, like you want to remember again, like a bad dream. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Probably Stuart is saying to us, it'd probably be the CBB show annual next year. Wouldn't surprise me because Panini are now doing graphic novels of the Doctor Who Adventures comic strip. Have you noticed?
Are they? Oh, really? Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Why?
They're like Spanish scraping the barrel, aren't they?
Yeah. Julie Wendy is saying to us, maybe we can have an annual on different types of grass. That would be good, wouldn't it? That would be very interesting, that one.
Like a Gardener's Weekly annual kind of thing, that sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But there you go. I just wanted to show that. So thank you to a friend of mine who sent me those details there. He's probably not watching. He's got probably better things to do than watch us, I tell you. But thank you for that. And I just thought, how rubbish. It's on sale now for pre-order, rather. If you are interested in the 2027 Doctor Who official annual. As I say, though, just wait. You'll find it for £2 in around about March or April. Honest to goodness. Just wait. Oh,
early January, probably.
Yeah,
September 1st, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Of course, the man responsible for actually putting Doctor Who into an early grave once and for all is our favourite here on the show, or one of our favourites, of course. It is Russell T. Davis. There he is, everybody. Yeah. And this is your alert, because we now are going to talk about his latest appearances, because this week he and the boy toy were out at the Attitude Awards.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, there they were. I'm sure they had a lovely time. But the Attitude Awards, of course, exactly where I would expect him to be, because, of course, Attitude was once upon a time a magazine for gay men. It is now a magazine for the TQ cult. And it pushes the far left TQ cult agendas, as I've said before on the show. Now, at the Attitude Awards, RTD would have been his element, because, of course, he is coming off the back of Tippy Toey, which he's had plaudits galore. He's had people kissing his hairy ass. Oh, you are brilliant. Oh, you are marvelous. This is the best thing ever. Oh, things are terrible in the United Kingdom. Oh, it's awful, and blah, 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 blah. And everybody conveniently looks over the fact the whole thing was based on lies and hypocrisy in my eyes. Because all RTD does is write about what RTD knows, as well as we know, don't we, guys? We've talked about it before.
Yeah, he knows very little, to be honest. That's the thing.
Exactly. Let's hear from the man himself, shall we? At the I think you're going to hate me for this, but let's get on with it. Let's listen to what he said at the Attitude Awards this week. Here we go.
Saying how scared people are. My own cousin is a brown woman. That's how she describes herself, as a brown woman. She wrote to me saying, that's how I feel. She's in her 50s. Her life has been happy and fine. She says, now, suddenly, I find myself going on tiptoe when I go out into the street. I think, wow, it's affecting all of us. It's not just a queer problem.
He manages to get the name of his show in there, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does, doesn't he?
Yeah. What is it? It's she's a brown woman. What? That's so patronising. It really is, honestly. Yeah.
But have you noticed how he's very careful to clarify that fact? Because he is aware that people could accuse him of being anything at all if he doesn't get that fact in. Do you know what I mean?
Well, if he doesn't get the right phrasing right, it's all about phrasing, isn't it? It's about you have to be careful how you put something before you offend someone. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it doesn't change the record either. This is the problem. As Matt Enspiel is saying to us in the chat, it's more gobshite from RTD. Braveheart is saying yawn. Yeah. Scott Andrew Brass, he's great. One of the finest writers of his generation. Do you want to go in the corner, Scott? Do you want to be put in the corner?
No, I think that's a hint of sarcasm there, definitely. Yeah.
I think he may be teasing. Yeah.
I know that. So am I.
Yeah, I know.
Richard Brooks, Russell Tough Davis is an angry bigot. What a disgrace. Yeah. Oh, lots to do there with us. It gets worse though, because he does talk about these things. Obviously, now you've got to bear in mind that at these awards, he will be surrounded by his own people, the people that love him. It is the Attitude Awards, so it'll all be people that are part of the TQ cult, whether they know it or not, which is, as we know, it's very homophobic.
It's called Know
and
Your
he does
Audience.
know.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So
Yeah. So as he's just mentioned in that small clip we've got there from this article from the Irish News, RTD says LGBT community faces new threats but finds new joys. The Doctor Who showrunner is known for telling stories about the LGBT community, including his hit Channel 4 series It's a Sin and Tippy Toey. He is known for telling stories about the community. That's all he is known for. That's it. That's all he can write. He's got nothing else. And as we've reported here on Headlines previously, he's currently preparing another one to be produced by Key Street Productions for Channel 4, which will be broadcast in 2028. Now, I've often said on the show, imagine what that one's going to be like. He was angry for Tip Toey. Imagine what this next one's going to be like, because he'll be livid. And that's what we're going to be looking at now, because some of the elements will come up through these interviews from just being on the red carpet at the Attitude Awards. Screenwriter RTD has said the LGBT community continues to face new threats. However, it is able to find new joys. The Doctor Who showrunner is known for creating shows that tell stories about the LGBT community, including It's a Sin and recent show Tip Toey, which starred Alan Cumming and David Morrissey. Davis, who is now 63, was among a number of stars who attended the Attitude Pride Awards ceremony in central London on Friday, ahead of the annual Pride festivities, which took place in the capital over the weekend. They finished today. It continues to say, my life, this is RTD, my life in this community, and I love writing about it, talking about it, thinking about it. It's who I am. I always find new things to say about it, new things to learn about it. As a community, we keep on expanding, we keep facing new threats and keep finding new joys. In recent series, follows the escalating conflict between two next-door neighbours, gay bar owner Leo Struthers and struggling electrician Clive Goss. He went on to describe how the show was inspired by the state of the world, adding that the problems that are addressed are not exclusive to the LGBT community. It's just the way things are heading in gay rights and queer rights, and especially trans rights, of course. But actually, the violence and problems that arise in Tippy Toey could apply to almost any group. If it was a Jewish drama, RTD says, you wouldn't blink about the problems being expressed. Women would say, that's our life. Suddenly he knows what a woman is. He continues to say, I think if I can write this stuff forever, then I will, God help us. I'm already planning a new one. There you are. I don't know if it works yet because I haven't finished writing it, but yeah, there's always a lot to say. It comes weeks after RTD has said goodbye to Doctor Who, as the BBC announced that it has cancelled the long-running sci-fi show's 2026 Christmas special.
I'm impressed he's writing something new. I look forward to that. Yeah.
I think he means a new version of the same old story.
Yes, a rehash of a rehash of a rehash. Yeah, basically.
It's a rehash of a hit he had in 1999.
Yeah.
And he's lived off it ever since. And he even pushed and shoehorned in this narrative into Doctor Who, therefore putting the final nail into Doctor Who, when he could have so easily have turned it around from the Chibnall era. It could have been a smash hit right now if he'd wanted it to be. But no, he had to put in his agenda, didn't he?
Yeah, this was a fantastic opportunity for Doctor Who, having had a chance of Disney money and make it really big. You're right. And he completely squandered it just due to his hubris, mainly. Yeah.
And the fact that he knows better.
Yeah.
All he does is self-promote, says Problem Being.
He's like a broken record, unfortunately, isn't he, to be fair? But yeah.
Robert Payne is saying his cousin is a brown woman. Did she go on holiday, or is she actually ethnically non-white? Richard Brooks wants to know, my cousin is a brown woman. What does that even mean? Again, he's just putting out the fact. Yeah. Funky is saying, I've only seen one thing on YouTube about Tippy Toey, and that said it was shite. The fact is, he has had an awful lot of the usual things. There is now on Facebook an entire Facebook page set up for fans of Tip Toey. And I keep getting requests to join this thing, which I refuse. But I look at some of the posts and it makes me realize just how influential RTD is with his own dictate, much like the government, really. You know, it's a case of being able to say, he wrote this thing because that's how he sees that element of the world. He doesn't take the responsibility of being part of creating the drive in homophobia through the dictates of a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man. You will obey that fact. There is no debate, Stonewall. So they help that because people, of course, had a backlash. And because the TQ is enforced on LGB, people like myself have had to deal with that because there is a rise in homophobia. And I've got to deal with that in my life when there shouldn't be. After all the work we did, it shouldn't be there. But it's because of these narratives. And then he comes out and he writes this tippy-toey thing. And you should see some of these posts from these ridiculous virtue signaling people who think the world is generally like that. That what he has written is truth. There are some of them that can't distinguish between a fiction and reality, which is very concerning.
Yeah.
That's very... Oh, it's come from RTD. It must be true. I've seen him talk at this event. I've seen him talk about this. I've seen him talk about this on the radio, on the One Show. I've heard him talk about this on the radio because that's all he talks about. He's had a huge hand in brainwashing a lot of people.
Yeah, it's definitely brainwashing, without a doubt. Yeah.
Enforcing his opinion, his perception. What we got here? Pete Harrington is saying he's a legend in his own lunchtime. The other Ibrahim is saying, dear God. Hello, Mischief. How are you? Nice to see you. Graham is saying that my wife is Indian and reckons being called a brown woman is more than a tad offensive.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
You've got here Mad End Spiel. What utter rubbish. My family is Indian and face nothing of this so-called far-right terrorism. He is obsessed, just like the outgoing Prime Minister, with something called the far right.
The thing about it is, if this is happening, it's a minority thing. It's not the entire country. He makes it sound like the entire country is racist or homophobic, and that's not the case at all. It's crazy. It really is.
And there is an equal amount, and some would argue more, the other way.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the state of policing now, JT. If that was that was still negative towards black and brown, then there would be calls for another Macpherson report and more charges of racism. But because it's racism against white people, it's just seen as acceptable. But did you see Ed Davey, leader of the Lib Dems, was saying something similar this week? He had a friend, a ethnic minority friend, who'd said Reform had been round to his house saying if they got in, he'd be out on the first boat. I mean, you know, just add that to the list of shit that never happened. But he stood up in Parliament and said it and was not challenged. If they stand up and say things like that, they should be forced to evidence it.
Yeah. This is the whole problem with all this rhetoric, isn't it? Because people go along with it. I mean, it's okay to be prejudiced against a certain set of people. Now, I'm going to talk from my position here, gentlemen, as a gay man, a same-sex attracted man, because it's okay to be homophobic. That's the problem. And I am currently, as I'm sure, and I won't speak for them, I'm sure Problem Being and Legion of James would agree, we are fighting internal homophobia, if you like, because it's actually coming from the LGBTQ plus community. If you do not bend the knee to their ideology, which Russell T Davies has been peddling out for years now, you are open season. You can be called all sorts of things. You are the enemy. You will be called all sorts of homophobic names. It's absolutely vile. These people are vile. And it's actually on this tiptoey Facebook page as well, which I just don't interact with because I read them and just think, oh my God, they're either going on saying, oh, look at me, I've just come out as trans. How do you come out as trans, for Christ's sake? You know, oh, look at me, look at me, I'm doing this or doing this, or, oh, look, we're gay people. There were one thing which I did actually, I will say, I did comment because it was this two young lads at London Pride yesterday. And they were snogging in front of people watching the parade, as if and they were saying, "Oh, look at us! We're doing." It was proving a point. Trying to prove a point. That's how far back we've gone. I did that in 1991, because I had to prove a point then. I had to prove a point. Back then it was shocking. Back then it was controversial. Back then it had to be said. It doesn't today because nobody cares. And that was because of all the work a certain age group, including myself, did, all that hard work. And then here comes RTD with all these idiots. And he's so hard left and so nasty and so angry because people will not follow his ideology. They will not accept what he is saying. So he wrote this whole drama about it. And that has, I don't know, it's made things much, much worse in my eyes.
Yeah.
As PVFS is saying, did you ever think his cousin might be tiptoeing because of him? Exactly. Exactly. He's had a huge effect on this because he can. And he's misused his responsibility, if you like, in my eyes, guys.
Well, I think it says before that he's generated all this trouble or helped promote all this trouble. And like you're saying, people wanted to get on with their lives and just get on with it. You know, I don't introduce myself. I'm Paul. I'm heterosexual when I see someone.
No.
So I don't care about sexuality. Get on with your life, enjoy your life, and let's get on with it. You know, that's the thing. You know,
it's not just sexuality now, though, is it? Because now we've got gender involved with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where the whole thing has come from. When a man turns around and decides he wants to be a woman, and he can just say, "I'm a woman now, and you have to obey my outcome, my what's the word I'm looking for? My philosophy, my belief that I am today a woman." Well, we don't have to do that, but they were insisting you do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them still around today that will do. Look at that vile, evil woman, Helen Wibberley, always going on about this right now. Horrible, evil woman. She should be in jail as far as I'm concerned for what she's actually approved for children. And, you know, there's a case of she will call you everything under the sun for not bending the knee to them and not following their dictate immediately.
It's crazy.
You know?
Absolutely crazy.
It's absolutely insane. And I still find it very ironic that RTD can't see that he was part of this whole problem.
For someone who allegedly went through it, RTD went through it. You know, he's got a very short memory, hasn't he? Let's be honest.
He didn't go through the same thing, though. And what he doesn't care about, Paul, is that he's put an awful lot of us back into it now.
Yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't care.
But he's like being a Doctor Who fan or being a gay man. He seems to forget those things, doesn't he? That's the thing, you know.
Richard Brooks is saying the TQ Plus cosplayers have expanded Pride and taken 2 months. Pride was never meant to be this. I looked at the Pride that went on in London this weekend and was genuinely embarrassed, as I have been for several years when it comes to Pride now. I would never attend Pride. And because they're not for, it doesn't represent same-sex issues anymore, same-sex attracted issues. It doesn't represent homosexuals. It's there now for a bunch of freaks. I'm going to say it. That's what it is. Virtue sigmas and freaks.
I saw part of Edinburgh Pride a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I've never seen so many confused people in my life. Honestly, it's just, like you said before, we should reopen the asylums again. I have to say, really, a lot of confused people, sadly. Yeah.
If there's something that scale that's been taken over, this is definitely it, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
The lunatics have taken over the asylum. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
They absolutely have. And we're celebrating mental illness and have been doing for some time. And unfortunately, thanks to an awful lot of stuff that has gone into Stonewall had such a presence within businesses and organizations because of the good work they used to do. They use those routes into businesses to say, well, now we're doing this and you must champion this to stay on our approved register of businesses, which they had all worked hard to do when it came to, you know, the lack of discrimination. And they misused that. No wonder everybody's confused now. Oh, what else we got? Richard Brooks saying that the far left hate joy. It's hard to control and people want more of it. They like victimhood and guilt. Both are very good to control people with. Far left are a pain in the neck. The far left, far right, same thing. But I don't see any evidence of the far right at the moment. All I see is the far left doing exactly what the far right would do. Matt is saying the show itself has been cancelled, not just the Christmas special. That's the way I look at it, Matt. Partly in order to wind people up, but the show is not in production right now. It has not even had the tender process being put out for any prospective new production company right now. It has, at this moment, been cancelled. I don't care what RTD or Moffat or any of them say. The only reason I reckon, guys, that they're all going to say it hasn't been cancelled, is because they don't want to be associated with a failed show.
Well, that's one thing I'm really glad that J&T can rest in peace, because he's left that now. It's gone to Russell T Davies, which is great. I'm really glad for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Bless him. Lots in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, lots of you talking about this. It gets a bit weird, actually. Matthew Pounder is saying to us here, look at this. Victimhood, narcissism sells. It bloody does in society today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Matthew. And I'm shocked by it as well. I look at these people that have gone onto this Tippy Toey Facebook page, and that's all it is. Look at me. Oh, woe is me. Oh, and they get loads of sympathy, and it must make their day. They must feel validated. You don't need to be validated by anybody in life. Tantrum throwing, says Dalek Shalom. Attention-seeking man-child RTD knows deep down inside he is only a social political DEI hire. It was the 90s. You could argue it.
Yeah, you could.
Anything that winds him up is good to me, regardless.
One day he'll be brought down a peg or two. I would have thought this whole thing about Doctor Who would have brought him down a bit, but I think it's just made him a little bit angrier, because he knows the thing failed and he knows the reason why it failed.
But as you said before, I think they seemed to wait until Tippy Toe was out of the way and it was done, whatever, and then it came up, and it's a way to try and shield him a bit with all the plaudits coming from Tiptoe and all that kind of stuff. So it's almost like Tiptoe has kind of shadowed Doctor Who a little bit, if that makes sense, or overshadowed it. You know, like when the government allegedly put out something in Parliament to avoid a scandal or something, that kind of thing. Allegedly, that sort of thing. You know,
I think there's yeah, I do believe there must have been some sort of agreement that they wouldn't release the details. I think Rod's article helped.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that pushed into the fact that they said, we've got to talk about this now, Russell. We've got to do an announcement. Well, Tiptoe ends on such and such a show. Let's do it like that. Do it then, and say I've walked away. Blah blah blah. I think there must have been a lot of politics in that, a lot of negotiation. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I really do.
Yeah.
I just wish the BBC would come out and say Doctor Who's cancelled because it was shite. That would be it. If they just were completely honest, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but they had to flower it up, didn't they?
Yeah, they had to. Yeah.
You fool.
Raymond said, can you cancel something that never had any money or hired any actors? It was never getting made. At least Doctor Who and the Scorpion did get made. That is on the way. Yeah. I mean, they keep insisting there was nothing down, but two different stories there, as we've chronicled since last year here on the channel. You know. Hi, Davey B. How are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Richard is frightening me with this statement. We are not even close to peak woke. They went for the little children deliberately. They will mar and smear our lives for many years to come. Oh, that's frightening. But you're right, because they are in education. They are in education. Which brings me to the next bit of RTD on the red carpet at the Attitude Awards this week.
You know something's coming, don't you, Paul?
Yes, I'm bracing myself for this. I am. Yeah.
Well, we'll go to this particular point here from the. Is it this slide? I'm trying to find my slides. No, it's not that particular one.
Right.
That one. Let me just try and find these. Talk amongst yourselves, everybody. Let's talk about this one first, and we'll talk about this particular part, because this is RTD reveals the real reason he left Doctor Who after second stint as showrunner. This is from the Mirror this week. RTD has shared the real reason he left Doctor Who more than 2 decades after he famously revived the iconic sci-fi series for the BBC. Wait for it, everybody. RTD has shared the real reason he left Doctor Who. The screenwriter 63 famously spearheaded the BBC's revival of the stable. It's always going to be that stuff, isn't it? Blah, 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 before making a comeback in 2023. And then it says in the Mirror, now Russell has seemingly confirmed that there was no bad blood behind the scenes. And speaking exclusively to the Mirror at the Attitude Awards in London, he just said, it was time to move on. That's all.
What a load of
do you make of that?
nonsense.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Really? But 2 years ago, we were saying we're going to have Doctor Who forever. It'll be wonderful. Yeah. And now it's I'm
He
leaving.
wouldn't,
It's
he
time to move
wouldn't
on.
have walked
Yeah.
away at that stage. He wouldn't have walked away at that stage because he wanted to carry on pushing that message out, and he saw himself as some kind of messiah sent down to do it. He would never have walked away at that point. He's trying to cover his own voluminous arse and fail.
If it was a huge success, you're right, Ian, he'd still be singing its praises. It's wonderful, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm here forever. I'm showrunner eternal. That's me.
Yeah.
Do you think he was looking at all that? Do you think that was in his head?
I think so, yeah.
That was part of his plan, I'm sure. Yeah.
Even if he wasn't showrunner, he'd be executive producer on it for forever, probably, if he stepped back from it. He'd still be involved in some way. If Disney went to series 10 or something like that, he'd still be there, you know?
Yeah.
He's only left because he's been let go, allegedly. He's had his jotters given to him. Yeah. So
When you become too toxic for the BBC, that's really bad, isn't it?
that's scraping the barrel, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Really is. There was other stuff that was going on at the Attitude Awards. Not that now. From Attitude itself was the headline: RTD welcomes tiptoe landing a US broadcaster, which we covered, I think, last week.
Yeah.
And then he went on to say, the president of the free world talks with hatred. A lot of the arguments in Tiptoe address many of the problems that come when the president of the free world talks with hatred, Davis tells Attitude. Okay. So we'll go into this, and I'm going to read this for you. Screenwriter RTD welcomes Channel 4 queer drama Tiptoe landing a US broadcaster, highlighting its importance under Donald Trump's governance. The dark new 5-part thriller from RTD debuted on Channel 4 in May 2026, starring Emmy-winning actor Alan Cumming as he navigates rising anti-LGBTQ+ hostility on Manchester's Canal Street. US broadcaster Starz has picked up the US and Canadian rights in June, and it is set to be available to watch later in 2026. So Starz is going to show the British version of this. Now, I have heard as well from people that I know in the industry that somebody out there over in America is also looking at making their own version of it. So RTD must be a very happy man at the moment. Ka-ching, 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 ka-ching.
Yeah. Like he needs the money, obviously. Yeah.
Speaking exclusively to Attitude at the 2026 Attitude Pride Awards Europe, supported by British Airways, RTD praises the broadcaster for their quote-unquote nerve. It's very good news that it's been picked up in the US by Starz, he says, because a lot of the arguments in Tiptoe address many of the problems that come when the president of the free world talks with hatred, bile, and anger about minorities, says RTD. I think that has given permission. This is said on screen in Tiptoe. It has given permission to the whole world, or certainly the whole manifestation, to rise up in arms. This is RTD's words, not mine. We made Tiptoe without any American money and kind of imagined it would never get shown there. So the fact it will be shown is really exciting and says a lot about Starz. RTD honors their nerve in a world where everyone, well, governments, are trying to censor broadcasters. It's very, very exciting. Right. So the president of the free world talks with hatred, bile, and anger about minorities, says RTD. Okay. So I looked at this. I went and had a look at this because I know there's been some stuff going on when President Trump has been doing various things. And I thought, right, okay, I haven't taken much interest because it's America. So we've got our own problems in Britain. So I have looked into this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that all the administration for Trump has done is brought back an element of common sense, because again, like in the UK, what has happened is the TQ cult, was able to infiltrate certain areas of business and public organizations with the dictates, you will believe what we tell you, otherwise you're not an ist or a phobe. So what they've done is he's basically said that if you were born a male, you are male, and if you were born a woman, you are a woman. He has gone, not him, his administration has said, this is Trump's administration have said, for example, here, if you are a boy, you cannot go into the girl guides, much like what's happened here. If you are born a boy and you become a man, you cannot be in women's sports. You cannot enter women's spaces. It's very similar to what's happening here. So RTD saying the president of the free world talks with hatred, bile and anger about minorities. What's he on about?
Good question. Yeah.
I think they just see Trump as an easy target, really, don't they? But if you put them side by side, RTD would be like a fly irritating King Kong, just getting battered away. It's a different order of magnitude when you're dealing with Trump. But he's far left, and a far lefty trope is hating Trump, isn't it? But I know that there was a lot said about what rights from gay people that Trump would take away, gay and trans people. Trump was going to take away if he got voted in again, and he did get voted in, and none of them have lost any rights whatsoever. But they'll go on saying it anyway because it's the politics of fear, and it's easier to keep people controlled if they're afraid, I think.
If we have any, it's unlikely, I have to say at this time, but if we have any homosexual men and women in our audience from America, can you let me know what you are actually saying? Because I've got a couple of friends in America, and I've asked them, and they say, "Don't believe it. It's all BS. It's not happening." And it was these people I went to, and hello to them. It was my friends over in America that I went to say, "What the hell is going on? This article's come out, blah blah blah." Oh, don't believe this. This is what's happening, and that leads you on to. You can look it up as I did. You can see what have they actually done. What have they actually done over there? They have, just like they have here. Now, it's not the government here that's done it in the UK. I have to say, it's various councils which are usually reform. They have removed various elements of TQ literature from schools and libraries. Now, I have looked, guys, into what literature they have removed. It is literature which is aimed at children telling them they are born in the wrong body and telling them that they can become the opposite gender. This is for children. That, to me, is perverse. That should not be allowed. Now, one of the books I will not name, but it is available, as many of them are, in both the United Kingdom and the United States of America and Australia and Canada. Now, in Australia and Canada, it is still available for children to look at. But in the UK and in the USA, it has now been removed from libraries and children's libraries and from schools. Now, for me, I will now be branded yet again, and I'm used to it, the wrong sort of gay, because I think that's a bloody good thing.
So do I, because children should be allowed to grow up and not be told things that are not true. And whether you believe they're true or not, you have to wait until you're a certain age to discover who you are. You can't suddenly change when you're 7, because that's just wrong,
Some of these books, Paul, I hate to tell you, are for the under 6.
Oh, really? That's even worse. Yeah.
They look like, I've got a particular, I'm not going to show you, because I'm not publicizing it in any way, but it's very familiar. Do you remember the Mr. Men books when we were kids?
Yes, yeah.
It reminds me of that, with the bright colors and the sort of heavy black outlines.
Yeah.
Oh, hello to Redknack Sin. Oh, sorry. Redknack Sin, I'm going to say. 6702. Nice to see you. As an American, hiya. I thought RTD failed because he returned with the sole purpose of using Doctor Who to promote his personal brand of gay activism. That's exactly right. That's what he did. He sacrificed our beautiful show because that's all he can write, and he wanted it. It was the easiest and laziest thing for him to do, wasn't it? I remember saying at the time, guys, when we were reviewing the crap that he was producing, bugger off and do a Channel 4 drama, which he ended up doing. It became Tiptoe because it had no place in Doctor Who. It was so lazy. Oh, I've got Doctor Who. I'll just push it into Doctor Who now and get that big audience they were expecting of 7 to 8 million, which never happened, you know? Legion of James. Cut the BS, RTD, we see your cope. You left because you failed and obliterated the show completely. You left because you were rejected.
Yeah.
Quast is saying to us, apparently he wrote episodes for Series 3. And Fan01-ish, yeah, we reported on that. He said he did. I've got it all on file. He said he had it plotted out. The show has passed on, says Fan01. It has ceased to be. It is bereft of life. It rests in peace. It's kicked the bucket, shuffled off this mortal coil, run down the curtain and joined the bleeding coil. The invisible.
It's a dead Time Lord. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
He'd also written 6 versions of the Christmas one, remember, according to Murray Gold.
Yeah.
And all that was apparently bullshit. So Series 3 was probably bullshit as well.
I mean, Murray Gold must be feeling like an absolute idiot now for saying that, because it wasn't just on the podcast that we talked about. He actually said it elsewhere, and of course it was widely reported because the BBC weren't giving us any information then. We talked about it on our show. It was in a lot of online articles of what he'd said. The poor fella now, he must be saying, I must look like an idiot, because quite frankly he does.
He does. Yeah,
completely.
And that's down to RTD and the BBC. Merry old soul Gigglesmith, nice to see you. How are you? Too many British people are obsessed with the USA and I'm sick of it. I'll join the club. Britain used to have our own culture, the good old days. I remember this creeping in the 80s, really, when people became obsessed with American television. It was all A-Team and the Battlestar Galactica and Buck Rogers. And do you remember?
Not just that though. When they started going the bandwagon of having, trick or treat rather than British Halloween, or you got the proms at school, all that kind of stuff, which you never had when I was a kid. So you went to school leaving dances, that kind of thing. Whenever the prom and people would buy a lovely dress and a tux at primary 7 or whatever, and go to in a limousine to school. That's all that came then as well. All that stuff is just awful. We have our own traditions. You know what I mean? So
we certainly do, but they're all now being cancelled or not looked at because it might be deemed as what's the word? Oh God, my brain. What's the word I'm looking for? People from outside the country may get offended by it. What's the word I'm looking for? Offensive, right? So any of our stuff, you can't do any of your British culture because it might be offensive to somebody else from outside the country. That's why they've said you can't fly the English flag in England or the Union flag in Britain because it might be offensive to somebody who isn't British. Well, if it's offensive to somebody that isn't British, bugger off back to your own country because it's our flag. I don't understand all that fuss over bloody flags. It's our flag. It's the country's flag. Get on with it.
Well, we've already cancelled Easter, haven't we? So it's next stop Christmas being cancelled, no doubt. Yeah. So
I think a lot of the time, though, sorry, JT, but I think a lot of the time where they say people might get offended by the flag or whatever, a lot of the time they probably won't. It's just earnest, self-serving white people a lot of the time that want to be seen as allies, that put that forward as an argument that they might be, and therefore let's ban it so they particularly look good and worthy. And it's just filth.
Yeah, it's a good point here from Dalek Shalom. Now, I am not in any way at all invested in American politics at all. As far as I'm concerned, I am British. Keep my nose out. Nothing to do with me. I respect democracy. I respect the fact that the Americans voted for the Republican Party. Suddenly, in the last 15 years, democracy and the outcome of democracy has become a problem. And I don't understand why we have the same sort of thing here. I didn't want the Labour Party to get in this time, but I had to get on with it. I didn't want the outcome of the Brexit vote, but I had to get on with it because the majority rules. That's common sense. That's how democracy works. And I always got over it in a day to be able to say, especially when it came to general elections that didn't go my way, I thought, right, it's going to come around in another few years anyway. You know.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you have to lump it. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know, so
you do. You absolutely
Yeah.
do. But Dalek Shalom is saying to us here, why does RTD hate Trump? He's the great white hope. Some even call him a god. I wouldn't go that far. And he speaks with love. I don't get this whole thing about this. That suddenly, you know, I don't understand it. I suppose it might be similar to the fact that everybody in the United Kingdom can't stand Starmer, apart from the people that have just stabbed him in the back. And boy, did they show their own colours. They loved him for a minute, and then as soon as the opportunity came up, they turned on him, didn't they? They turned
But
on
that's
him.
politics for you, isn't it? Let's be honest.
That's career politicians for
Yes.
you, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't understand all this. Terry Leptel saying, I bet he can't quote a single word of Trump's. And Sheriff
bet,
Brackett is
yeah.
saying it's more fear mongering. RTD is very, very good at fear mongering. I've accused him of this several times now because that's what he does. And he does it through his drama. He does it through what he says. He's just done it again with Tiptoe because we've got some very, 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 very confused young people now terrified. And it's because people like RTD tell them they should be terrified. They give them the anxiety that they're all fighting against. And I think it's nonsense. But this whole thing about this, the president of the free world talks with hatred, bile, and anger about minorities. Does he though?
He never gives any examples of
No, he
Trump's work,
doesn't.
if you know what I mean. You know, he doesn't show any of his workings when he talks about this, you know.
No, it doesn't. But you've got plenty of examples of hate from those on the left, haven't you? They're everywhere. You wouldn't struggle to compile a top 20 list of far
Only
left
top
hate
20.
examples. Well, yeah, I was being kind, but I mean it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if it's not Trump, it's Farage, isn't it? He'll say the same stuff about Farage. You know, I hear there's another story breaking about Farage tomorrow that he got on the wrong bus once when he was 8 years old. Clearly, he's a far right bastard. You know, but
I just don't. I get very tired with it. Jason Parker, I totally agree with you. I remember when Attitude magazine was a gay magazine. Now I have no idea what it is. I do. It's purely propaganda for the far left TQ cult. But Attitude was, especially when it started, a very stylish, glossy. It featured fashion, interviews with pop stars and actors and writers. You know, it had nice reviews about stuff going on, and that was it. You know, it was quite a glossy magazine. And over the years, like Gay Times has done, like that rag, the Pink Paper has done, it's got more into the LGBTQIA, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, plus, you know, and it's become more of the far left propaganda, alienating millions of its readership. I'm very surprised it's still going. But this is from Attitude, Jason Parker. This is an article in there. And they love this. They love this. I mean, look at the size. I don't want to show this in a slide, but look at the size of the headline. They love this.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's
a hell of a
huge.
headline.
Look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
RTD welcomes tiptoe landing US broadcaster. The president of the free world talks with hatred. I'm not convinced. And anything that RTD says, I'm not convinced about, gentlemen. I mean, he's talking about minorities there. Again, I've spoken to my friends in America, and I've said, what is going on with this? You know, this whole ICE thing going on. Well, apparently, the Republicans are carrying on something that started, and I've lost the information now, but it started with Obama, and he got more done than the Republicans are doing. So surely they should be complaining. In fact, it's there. Frankie Stanage, Obama deported more than Trump. Yeah. So, you know, they are behind where Obama's government was when it comes
Is
to
it not necessarily the way they're going about it that's the issue potentially? Because you have seen some incidents in the States which have been a bit scary. But maybe it's the way they're going about it rather than the fact how they're doing it. You know what I mean? So that they are doing it. I mean, yeah.
They started showing pictures of kids in cages on the border, and showing that as an example of how evil Trump was. What they omitted to say was that the cages were put there by Obama.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they came. Really? They came from him. He was the president when they put them in there, and of course they had nothing to say then. They didn't care then. But as soon as they can use it as an example of going to somebody that isn't on the far left, they'll go for it.
But that's the thing, they're trying to dig up dirt, aren't they? On people, it's like
Yeah.
they say about Farage and his 5 million donation, but they forget that other politicians are the exact same thing, but they don't seem to tell that particular story because it's not in the narrative. That's the thing.
Yeah, and they're trying to loop that in, but I mean, I'm not making an apology for him, although I wouldn't mind
No, of
somebody
course not.
giving me 5 million. It'd be
No.
very useful, and I'd say thank you. But he wasn't an MP when he was given that, so it's got nothing really to do with his MP job. It doesn't clash because he got the money beforehand. But there
I
we
think it's
go.
called mudslinging, isn't it? That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, this is where
And
politics is today, isn't it? And it looks like the American political system is just as bad as ours because they're always getting at each other. I mean, Digby is saying to us, what rights does RTD think gay people don't have now in the UK or the US? Now, that's the problem, Digby. It's not necessarily gay rights that he's talking about. It's the trans rights issue. And all that people have done and all that is coming out now is, as I would call it, more common sense. You cannot have men, whether or not they're calling themselves a women, in women's spaces. You just cannot. You certainly cannot have them in sport. Because not only will they win absolutely everything, because men are bigger, they are faster, they are stronger, they are more powerful than women when it comes to sports, but it also could cause serious harm to a woman. Let's look at the wrestling. Let's look at the boxing. We have had incredible instances with that over the last few years, and the Olympics need to just grow up and actually hang their heads in shame of what they allowed to happen there, when that fella was beating the hell out of that poor woman. Another one recently I saw where this woman was in a wrestling match with a trans woman, i.e. a man, desperately trying to get out from the power that he was inflicting on her. It's actually an assault. It's an assault. And nobody was helping her because they didn't realize it was a trans woman. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Ironically, it's extreme misogyny. That's what it is. That's the problem. It's really quite sad.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It absolutely is. We've got this from the other side of the coin, and thank you for this, from Regnac Sin 6702. Sorry if I can't say your handle properly. Trump talks with anger about everything. He is an idiot. That is not news to anyone. I have to say, I do look at him and I just think, oh, it's another old bloke going on about stuff. And by God, he goes on and on and on and on, doesn't he? But I just switch off.
There's a lovely Kevin Bridges story, the comedian Kevin Bridges, about he's like a man in the pub just ranting. You wouldn't listen to him if he's in the pub, so don't listen to him now. That's the kind
Isn't
of
he
thing,
80 now, though, as well? He reminds me of those older presidents you would see back in the day, or politicians you would see back in the day, like Reagan and stuff like that, who would just, I mean, the worst one they've had was Biden, who couldn't even bloody well stand up on whatever day of the week he was actually on. But why are they always going
Joe
for
Biden?
People? Yeah, I mean, they're all as bad as each other. But I also think these are just figureheads, surely. I might be wrong with the American system, but these are figureheads. They can't be swapped as easily as our figurehead can, obviously. But there are loads of people beneath them doing the jobs.
Doing the strength, exactly. And
I looked at what's made up in the Republican administration right now. There's a hell of a lot of homosexual men and women in there who are very, very annoyed at the TQ cult. I can assure you. I've been looking at some of their tweets over the last day, and some of these people are they're the ones making the decision to say that's not suitable, because they're gay, they're homosexual.
They're trying to regain common sense, like we said already.
It looks like it, and it's the same here. I mean, people seem to forget, like RTD will conveniently forget how many same-sex attracted men and women are actually in or support his nemesis party, Reform. There's a hell of a lot of them, and they are very responsible. Let's look at Darren Grimes here. He's one of the Reform councillors responsible for removing the alleged progressive flag from public buildings and council buildings in his constituency. And he's a gay man. Now, I would do the same thing, because that flag does not represent me. It reflects the poison of the TQ cult. This is what RTD is very annoyed about. And he's not prepared. He's so blinkered, guys. He's so trapped in his echo chamber that he's going to lash out at everybody, including the president of the free world, who talks with apparently hatred, bile, and anger about minorities.
He needs banning from America. That would amuse me no end. It needs banning from America.
You see, I don't believe in all that banning stuff. We've just had it here again from our government here that banned a load of people coming in to talk at the event a few weeks ago in London, the Pride of the Nation or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you stop. There are certain people I would ban. I would ban extremist Islamic people because they are against Western society. Those sorts of people who are ists, yes, I would stop them coming in. But but just banning conservatives from coming in, and of course it didn't work. It backfired spectacularly because now they've got this thing called Zoom.
I mean, I don't approve of banning people or deplatforming people, you know, like the very far left universities and debating societies who'll only debate things that they agree with. They like cancelling people a lot, and I disagree with all of it. I just feel it'd be amusing in RTD's case because he's such a dick and he's of the side that constantly deplatforms people. It would be very, very amusing if he got deplatformed himself. So, you know, I don't approve of it, but I would snigger a lot if it happened to him. Got to be honest.
Ian, I love that idea of a debating society debating stuff that you only agree on. That's a wonderful image.
I don't know how they do it. It's a nonsense, isn't it? They don't like being challenged. I think part of it's because they would probably then go back and wet the bed for the next month if they got challenged, and they don't have enough sheets, so they can't.
We've got this point here, which from Digby, which is a great point. Would RTD rather be gay in Gaza or gay in Washington?
Very good.
Yeah. This is the other thing that annoys me. I mean, this weekend with the whole Pride thing going on in London, and Pride in London, by the way, doesn't like the term same-sex attracted, and I can prove it. I've got the receipt from that from 2023. But they allowed, and this is Rebecca. I met Rebecca several times, or a couple of times years ago. This is Rebecca, who's now apparently in control of Pride in London, and I'm shocked because she's a lesbian, but she's obviously one of these lesbians that's far left lesbian. She thinks a man can be a lesbian as well, which I never would have guessed of Rebecca, because she came across as quite level-headed and quite good. But here she is being part of a team that's putting together London Pride, and they've allowed something called Queers for Palestine to march.
Yeah.
These people are insane. And again, it ties me in with what he was saying here, what RTD was saying about minorities. That's all they see. So these alleged idiots that are flying a flag and a banner called Queers for Palestine, they are looking at the fact that they feel that these people there are minorities over there. They're minorities, and therefore they've got something in common. Well, I'd like to say to them, why don't you get on a plane and go over and tell them, but actually save yourself some money, because get yourself a one-way ticket and then pick a roof as soon as you get off the plane. You bloody insane lunatics. You are insane.
They're thick as mince, and that's an insult to mince, I have to say. Yeah.
It is an insult to mince.
Yeah.
I mean, how can they possibly? Honest to God.
Don't know. Makes no sense.
Quast is saying to us, I wouldn't be surprised if Tiptoe was rejected Doctor Who episode. Oh God, yeah, can you imagine? Richard Brooks, schools in the UK threw brand new books in a dumpster because they were published before the 21st century. It is a crime. I did hear something about this, including the true history of how Stonewall started in 1969, which has now, of course, had a person who they claim was trans woman. He wasn't. He was just a drag queen. And they shoehorned him in, and he wasn't even there at the start of the Stonewall riot. And I get this all the time. You owe your rights to trans women. Do I buggery? Why would the gay rights movement have been started in 1969 by a heterosexual man in high heels and a frock? Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's the homophobia that RTD supports.
But it's a scary world we live in, isn't it? When you know the destroying books, that's when you know we're in trouble. Because even when they started censoring books, like changing words and Roald Dahl books and stuff like that, that was a slippery slope already. But now it's like we're just going to put them in the bin and rewrite history. That's just really scary.
Yeah.
Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat. A male student tried to enter a ladies' toilet here where a work colleague daughter was inside. He wouldn't let him, and I stood with him until she came out. Both of us called the M-word by students. The students are the worst because they're being indoctrinated and brainwashed by educators, alleged educators, who are usually far left activists and have no place in education, in my view. That's one thing I would sort out if I was in control. I'd be through the education system, firing every single activist. When I had to work with teachers a few years ago, there was one, and I just automatically judged because she had all these bloody badges on her.
Yeah.
The only one that was missing was Free the Whale, or Save the Whale, rather. Everything else was there. And I just said, are you allowed to wear that in your classroom? Are you allowed to dress like this at school? And she said, why? I said, because I don't think it's appropriate. I just told her, I said no, and I wouldn't let her come into my event. I had to say to her, "You're not coming into this event like this with all this far left propaganda. You can go home and change, or you don't come in at all." She never came in.
But that's the thing; they should be giving two sides of an argument as an educator, because it gives the students a chance to understand there are two sides of things. You know what I mean? Not just one-sided.
Yeah, it's like in schools where they were all. It was suggested by Starmer that they all saw adolescence because teenage white boys are the problem, aren't they? I think they should balance that by saying that all secondary schools should watch Citizen Vigilante. Personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be rough viewing for us all, isn't it? If you can get to see it, because of course there's problems with that now as well, isn't there? Richard Brooks again saying to us, I got dragged across the coals for speaking my mind about the TQ plus issues. I have to be very careful at college now. I feel for you, Richard. Just send them my way. I'll deal with them for you. Honestly, I'm sick of the lot of them. Let's have a look in the chat and see whatever else is saying there. I've just had that one from Richard. Julianne is saying, Richard's culture is colonialism and white male patriarchy, and therefore the very essence of evil, according to the cults. Yeah, and they forget the reality of stuff, isn't it? The amount of videos I see where Americans are told, "Oh, the British stopped the slavery," and they just go, "What?" Yeah, because that's not what they're taught, if they're taught anything at all. Pete Harrington. They say councils, it may become detached, a flag and fly onto a car windscreen while you're driving. It's a possibility, but we all know why. Yeah. Yes.
So could somebody's washing. Are they going to ban washing being hung outside?
Exactly. The fact with this whole thing about RTD for me, though, is that he's going to get applauded even more now, and he's going to get rewarded more. Yes, he's got this other thing coming along. Wait till we start reporting on all the awards he's about to win for Tiptoe, as the industry start giving him BAFTAs and the Independent Awards and Human Rights Awards and all this sort of stuff. He's going to love every second of this, and they will all forget the flop that was Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Convenient, that, isn't it?
Very convenient, yeah.
Jason Parker. Democracy is important, but freedom is even more important. Look at Hong Kong. It used to have freedom. It did not have democracy, but it had freedom. Once it is gone, everything else goes nasty.
Yeah.
It's worrying, isn't it, everybody? It really is. Funky is saying Tiptoe definitely not showing on Fox then. No, it's not. It's Stars.
Reason why Stars, or the Stars, he got a relationship with Stars when they did Torchwood, didn't they? So it's probably something to do with that, no doubt, I'm sure. Yeah, nepotism again.
It could be. Yeah, it could be. He never goes on, though. I mean, he's always talking about hatred, bile, and anger about minorities. Why doesn't he then write a drama right now, this next one? Why doesn't he talk about the effect that the illegal immigrants is having on the gay society, the LGB, and in his case, TQ society? Because there's a hell of a lot of homophobia coming through from them, from these illegal immigrants that are being housed in our country because they're not being sent back big enough. That's something else I would say. You don't get in the country, you get pushed back into the bloody sea. No, back. If you're illegal, you're illegal. Why don't the Liberals understand the term illegal? Why are they always banging on about human rights?
Yeah.
It's illegal. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand that. Somebody tell me. Why don't they understand the word illegal?
I wish I knew.
I have no idea.
I knew.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a point Tony Farrell is saying. I wonder if RTD is hurt because Trump ended US aid with its spurious donations, including allegedly to various pride organizations.
Ah, yeah.
That could be a very good point. Because they stopped donating to Stonewall as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
Who knew? I never knew up until that point that the US government was giving some British organizations money.
Weird, isn't
Well, the
it?
BBC got money from USA, didn't it?
They did.
Yeah.
For its DEI stuff. They must
Crazy.
have been mad. That previous administration were insane, but they were obsessed with DEI as well, weren't they?
Yes, they were. Yeah.
What's this from Julianne? See how fast RTD moves through the S when money is involved, or when Putin sails up the Thames. Now the thing is, well, Julianne, that's funny, but he moved very quickly last time he was getting money from the States, didn't he? With that whole Torchwood incident where he went over with Julie.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And they brought us Miracle Day, which was another flop. He's had as many flops as he had successes, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'd say he's had more flops, to be honest, JT. I think they outweigh.
Only when you put them together, probably, but everybody will forget
I mean,
them.
if you just look at his Doctor Who stories, and I know you could say in the scheme of things, Doctor Who was just one of his shows. But if you just look at his Doctor Who episodes, how many of those are really stand out that he wrote? How many are really stand out?
There's a couple, but not many.
For positive reasons.
Yeah.
It's not many, is it?
The one that comes to mind is Midnight, probably. That's the only thing is quite a good one, but apart from that, not many. Yeah.
I looked at Sci-Fi Book Club. Good to see you there. Braveheart as well, 15, saying nothing wrong with Scotland. It's not woke. Oh, come on. Come on. It's not,
You've got to be
it's not
kidding.
woke.
Yeah.
Please. We've had men calling themselves women in bloody women's prisons for crying out loud, resulting in the R word and pregnancies. And that was down to DEI. I've been battling the Scottish government for years now because of their bloody policy. Not woke. Oh, the stories I could tell if I wasn't bound by contracts. One day, I tell you, I'll shock the world with some of the stuff I know about the Scottish government. And don't get me started.
Bring out a book. Bring out a book. We'll fund the publishing. Okay, yeah.
Not allowed. Yeah. Not allowed. On my deathbed, possibly. Not woke. Richard Brooks, LGBT people have won their deserved rights. The TQ cult want the right to take rights away from everyone else. Exactly. There's massive differences. And the fact, Richard, that they're always saying to me, you owe your rights because of a trans woman, that's a big homophobic lie, absolute lie, which is now peddled by them all because they have to try and justify. They say the TQ have always been part of LGB. Lie, lie, lie. So they go back and rewrite the history to try and do it, just like Chibnall did with Doctor Who, to say, oh, the Doctor has always been a woman. Lie, lie, lie. These people are insane, totally insane. And then they tell me, guys, that I'm lying. All right, yes. So my actual eyes were lying to me in the 80s, the 90s, and the turn of the century. The things I saw and experienced didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Bloody idiots.
It was a mirage. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know it was the 90s, but it wasn't that bad. I tell you.
Yes, well.
Terry Leptel is saying to us, remember, guys, none of this is meant to make sense. It's just meant to bring down society in order for them to create utopia. There was another bloody awful episode from RCD.
Well, the last 10 minutes were quite good.
Yeah, can't remember.
When the master turns up, that was the best part of it. Yeah.
Oh, was that episode?
That's episode, yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, there's so many of you in the chat with lots of lovely things. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm not going to be able to get through all those. There's a hell of a lot. John Mason saying that Midnight is actually his favourite New Who episode, unfortunately. Oh, yeah. Fair enough. I can't remember that one either. Is that the one where Donna's on holiday?
Yeah, John's on holiday, and the Doctor gets taken over by a creature that can use his voice. That's the one. Remember that? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're on a bus or something, aren't they?
Yeah. Space bus.
Space bus. Space bus. That's
That's
it.
what Terry Nation would have called it. Yeah, but yeah.
Space bus. I like that though. The space
Yeah.
bus. Very Captain Zepp.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to point that one out as well, because that's what he's been doing this week, as he's gone to the Attitude Awards with the Toy Boy. So he's been talking. He mentions Tiptoe whenever he can, of course, because he's trying to gloss over Doctor Who. In my opinion, he's trying to move on. So we've had that article of what he said. The real reason he went, it was just time to move on. You two aren't convinced. The audience isn't convinced. I'm not convinced. I think it's pretty obvious the BBC said this isn't working.
Yeah.
End of
Or
deal.
get to Falkirk or words to that effect. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I've actually got the details here. I knew I had them somewhere of what I mentioned earlier, because we were talking about the BBC being sued. The latest one for you all is the BBC is to be sued for 1.2 million over another Panorama episode amid the Trump lawsuit that's going on. This is by the delivery company Every, who is taking legal action against the broadcaster over the documentary they made called Every, Where's My Parcel, original title, which aired last December. The firm claimed it caused some serious financial loss and is suing the BBC for libel over a 15-minute segment of the 30-minute long episode. Lawyers have argued the firm suffered legal repercussions and reputational harm as a result of the corporation's actions. Well, it will do. It's the BBC. The lawyers have challenged claims that Every misled Parliament by informing MPs that the firm did not underpay couriers, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. There's something else going on with the BBC then. It's not good times at all for them, is it? So where do we think RTD is going next, apart from loads of awards?
Hopefully into obscurity would be quite nice. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, retirement.
Yeah.
Would be fantastic. But if he said he's going to write something for 2028, then obviously not. I would like him to descend further into abject failure, have complete humiliation and a destroyed career.
At least.
Yeah. For starters.
Yeah.
That's all he's wished on other people that don't agree with him. So.
Well, Frankie is saying very quickly he should be retired. The problem with people who are creative is there's no real retirement age for them, because you're going to be creative. I mean, look at Cher and Madonna, whose new album, by the way, that came out on Friday is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Proving the point. Don't write women of a certain age off, because they'll bounce back and they'll have you. It's absolutely incredible, Confessions too. I love it. It's not off the turntable. But that's the situation, isn't it? When you're in that industry, unless you're a woman who's acting, where you can be farmed out, Paul, as you'll know, you can be farmed out because there's not the roles. And now, of course, a lot of their roles are actually going to men who say they're women. So it's all very hypocritical of them all, isn't it? Yeah. All right, let's look at the poll we did today. Thank you very much to everybody that took part in our poll. I asked, are you interested in the current Doctor Who merchandise available? You can press no. 1, sorry, for no, none of it. 2 for yes, some of it. And 3 was yes, all of it. I'm going to stop the poll now. So thank you very much. And I can tell you that 22% of you in the audience tonight said yes, some of it. And 78% said no, none of it. And none of you voted for yes, all of it.
I'm quite keen on getting a Yeti figure, but I'll wait until they repackage them in 2 years' time. But,
I'm the same with that. And was there a couple of? I wouldn't mind things like the Primord. There was a Primord.
And the Wirren looks quite interesting as well.
And the Wirren, I'd love stuff like that, but not if it's part of a collect and build that involves crap from Gatwa. Not a chance.
Yeah,
not a chance. I wasn't even interested in those Cybermen. I'm just not interested in new series stuff anymore.
So the Cybermen one that's just sold out.
Oh, has it? Was that the one that had no postage and packaging costs on it?
Yeah, it's all part. It was all something like that. But yeah, those Cybermen. I mean, these are the Vortex editions, so I reckon they just make it. It's a limited edition anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people were getting 2 of the things. As we said on our show for merchandise, people will buy 2 because they'll want 1 to keep and 1 to open just to get to the Yeti.
Oh, 3 possibly.
I don't think anybody bought. I think there was a limit on how many you could get.
Oh, I don't know if it's. I was talking about Bedweir. He knows who I'm talking about.
No, he got one.
He got one.
He got one. He got
Okay.
one. The next one in that range is the Shooty Gatwa model. That is out. I think it's next month.
I can
They're
see,
being posted straight to landfill. I think that's where they're
I
going.
can see sales absolutely rocketing into the ground
Yeah.
for that one.
Yeah.
It's got the other part of the Yeti in.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, it'll be like the Joe Martin figure. They'll keep their Yeti arm and then put that in the bin. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's this from Problem Being? The new Cybermen figures are actually really good figures, I have to say. Yeah, Bedweir sent me copies of pictures of what here's when you took them out of the box. They look gorgeous. They looked absolutely gorgeous.
He took them out of the box. Really?
Yeah, I wasn't going to bother with them because they're far too expensive each month, and there's so many of them. I'm quite happy with that. I don't really care anymore. If they're gonna do things like that, I'm not that bothered, to be honest. I'm really not bothered. Because I just think it's a bit of a rip-off. All right, then, everybody. Well, listen, thank you for joining us tonight for headlines tonight here on Who's Views. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope we've covered some nice topics. Let's see what comes up next, shall we? I would love for us to talk about. As I said before, the show off air is a story in itself. Who knows what's going to happen next? I am sort of expecting some sort of Blu-ray announcement. So stay tuned for us here on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Yeah, because I'm hearing things about that. So we're ready to go with whatever they announce. So make sure you subscribe to us. If you're new to us, please subscribe. If you're not new to us, please make sure you are still subscribed. Give us a thumbs up. You can give us a hype if you like as well. And you can share the show if you want to or around the place. Paul, Third Doctor Ian, thank you for joining me again this evening. Hope you've had a good chat here tonight.
Very much so. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep, thank you. Really enjoyed it. I have had a message from Lex as well. We have missed one of his super chats.
Oh, what is it?
He sent us a £10 super chat, so thank you for that, Lex. And he said, Masters of the Universe update, 115 million worldwide. There you go, you got it. 115 million worldwide. Early July, 65. I mean, they're good figures, aren't they?
It's one of these films. I've not seen it, and I'm probably not going to see it. But it's got mixed reviews critically, but the general public have loved it by all accounts, haven't they?
The general public have loved it. I've seen it twice, and I loved it.
Wow.
The review show of the thing loved it. It was good, old-fashioned entertainment. Absolutely. I don't agree with some of these YouTubers are saying, "Oh, it was this element and this element." I didn't see any of that. I just saw a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I would recommend Masters of the Universe.
That's the Killjoys, isn't it? Yeah.
I've also trying to speak. I have already pre-ordered the 4K Blu-ray, which is coming out as a steelbook at some point towards the end of the year. It was that good. I really enjoyed it, and I hope I get a sequel because I want to know where the story goes. That's called entertainment. That's what you want. You know. Absolutely. So congratulations to them. Thanks for that, Lex. So thank you for everybody for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We will be back. We've actually got Blake 7 tomorrow night, where we're going to be looking at Pressure Point from Series 2. We have Earthshock for you coming up this week, as well as our reviews. Our celebrations of the Cybermen at 60 continue. We've got a chit chat for you on Friday, and you never know what else might appear on the channel. We're ready. That's all I'm saying. We're ready. If anything goes. From the guys and from me, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Until we do, look after yourselves, everybody. Ta-ra.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.